most fun part of the job is to bang that thing every once in a while. I've got to do too many of the new council, very calm. And then you can only start at 2 p.m. So, anyways, welcome everybody. It's great to see this many people out on a 3 o'clock meeting, and for a good cause. As I know, we have some opportunities to thank some people today. So we'll have to get a bit of business done first, and we won't keep it too long, and then we'll get into those activities. Disclosure any junior interest or the municipal conflict of interest act. None? We don't have any closed session today, so moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Caldwell. The minutes of December 2nd, 2014 and December 16th, 2014 council meetings to be approved, and December 9th and 2014 council training notes to be received. All in favor? Okay. Okay, any additional items disclosed other business? Anybody got related? Anybody else? And as you know, if you think of something, it's always right. You always do. Pretty easy going. Moved by Councillor Turton, second by Councillor Dirksen, that the town of the Minto Council convenes in a committee of the whole. All in favor? Public meetings, and we're right into delegations. This is the fun part of the meeting, I think. And so we have a couple people, and we'll start off with the presentation to Bev May. I've got a little note here, Bev, and I'm going to read it, but then I'm going to add my comments as well. I just want to make sure we got some of these points out there. I think the last time we had a little something for you, I found out that you were a Moorfield girl, right? And you've just kind of done two things. You did the whole thing in Moorfield, and then you thought, well, they've had enough of me, and I moved up here and did the whole thing over again. And I was totally amazed at that, all the fun things that you did. So this is just a small little tidbit. Bev helped feed families in Minto for the past 25 years at the Harrison Food Bank. There's been a 19.2% increase in food bank usage in Ontario over the last 7 years, as we know, and many people in this room have helped work on that. You're doing more than just making sure most vulnerable were fed. You showed them that people do care, that gave them hope, which is something all people need to try to change their lives. I think one of the comments I remember having at one of the meetings you had, and you talked about there's no use giving people 10 pounds of potatoes, they don't know how to cook them. And there's many times that you've had to, just over and beyond what you do is just providing food. You provide that fellowship and that friendship that the needy needed at that point in time. And I know your hard work has affected people in more ways than you may realize. But I got a feeling that you probably get paid back many times over when people come back to you and say, Bev, thanks for the things you did for me years ago. Because you've done it so long and you've done it with such great flair. And you take a whole committee to replace you. and they have a lot of respect for you. So if I could have you come up to the front of the room, and we'll give you a little token of our appreciation from the council. You want to say a few words? You're not going not to say a few words.
Well, thank you very much. It has been 25 years of a great reward for me. I thrive on working with people, and I have a good supportive family and a lot of friends and a good church family that stood behind me for 25 years. And I'm just the one person, and the rest of you all make me look good. But I've made many friends, and I've cherished those friends. I've seen 3 generations probably of people go through the system, and they're still my friend. Sometimes I felt I was a little rash, but you treat them just like you would your own kids. Sometimes they have to have a no as well as a yes. And I think that they appreciated it from me in the end, because I feel I'm still their friend. And I treasure that the lifestyle they live. We don't know how lucky we are, how some of us live. Thanks very much.
When you smile, it's
Your family. You get the pictures you want, the families? Yeah.
Does any good council want to say anything? Kevin?
Should I just,
Sure, go here. Yeah.
great. I'm the chair of the food bank committee. The entire committee and volunteers over here, we're all replacing one.
I'll just get you
Oh, sure.
talking to that, and then you're on camera.
Yeah, you pick my phone right out.
Sure, that's great.
No, we'll do it.
No problem. Is that a little better?
Perfect.
Yes, I'm chairing the committee with many volunteers who are replacing one amazing lady. And so today we just want to, on behalf of the committee, but also on behalf of the citizens of Harriston, we just want to extend our thanks and appreciation to you, Beth, for all your years of service. I'm sorry I haven't had more time to get to witness your amazing labor for our community. I've only been here a couple of years, but from everything I've heard, you basically single-handedly been making sure that people have had food on their tables who have been in need for these 25 years. And it's been highlighted from all the stories and accounts I've heard by the fact that you've always been available for people whenever they've been in need. And so many have been touched by your years of faithful service. And so we just want to say thank you, and we'll endeavor to continue carrying on your work and caring for people. So thanks for blazing the trail for us, Beth.
And Deb, you're still doing the garage sale because you made $2,500 last week. No? My mother always talks about that story. Dad's only going to do it if we don't make $2,500. We're never doing it again, United Church. How many years have you been doing it?
Oh, 20 years.
20 years. 20 years to make $2,500 or more. So you can't totally retire, can you? No, that's great. And a great honor today too to have people that give back to the community, and have two of them on a meeting is amazing. And this next person, Pat Savage. Pat has been engaged with Mnto youth for the past 14 years. Pat, we've had opportunities to listen to you once a year. You come and do a report to the council, so I've heard it 4 times. And I just know your work has helped many young people deal with the problems they face. And you may even help them shape their futures for future leaders in our community, I'm sure. We will miss Pat during this time when engaging our youth is more important than ever. And thank you for your work, and wish you all the best in the future. So if you'd like to come up. One more.
It's a really special day to share this meeting with a real hero, Beth. It's been my joy to serve these youth The kids that come to the youth center right now weren't even born when I started here, so the majority of them. And I've gone through 3-4 generations of friends. Every 3 to 4 years, I was remaking friends, developing relationships, and pouring into teenagers. And so, it's been awesome. And I've been working with teenagers for 22 years, and I thought, it's time to grow up. So, no, there's other things on my heart to do and have been for years, but this has been a great community, a really good community. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Kim, yes, Kim, you're right on top of this today. I didn't get you my notes.
No problem. I'm wearing 2 hats today. I'm also representing YFC Minto here as their chair. But I just wanted to say a couple of words on behalf of our committee, but also on behalf of the students of this community. The hundreds, if not thousands of lives that have been touched by your work and your investment over these last 15 years. We just want to say thank you for being faithful. Thank you for pouring yourself out into the lives of students. Having myself been a youth worker in a church context for many years, I know that the trends and the trends of the times are that youth workers stay for a short time, not a long time. And the fact that you've stayed for 15 years is a testimony to your deep care for the youth of our community. And it's also a testimony to the calling that's on your life. And so we're just excited to see this work in Minto continue as well. The Youth Center opens again this Friday. We've got some new volunteers. We're excited for the next chapter of what's going to be happening with YFC here in Minto. And I just want to let you know we're going to keep blazing the trail that you've laid here. And we just hope a real blessing on your life as you continue on from here. Thank you to both of you for your years of serving.
And I feel like that, as I say, the town, we had a great relationship with Pat and the group, and we'll try to continue on with the new people that are running it, because our youth are our future. I totally agree in that. I want to get them more involved in some of the things we do, and I'd like to have one on council sort of, and different other things too. So we got to get them engaged. And if we get them engaged early in life, they become those great leaders to be the Bevs of the future and the Pats of the future. So thanks very much for your contribution. Any councilors want to make any comments?
Thank you to both of you.
Yeah, I have a,
Minto is about.
you bet, and I have a question for Pat. Where are you going with that? Because you're gonna miss you.
Well, we're going to be involved in the church plan, and we're still waiting for confirmation on some things, so basically I'm unemployed.
Yeah. In that line, I don't
I
think.
have a job interview on Wednesday, so,
Yeah, call it sort of semi-retired.
well, yeah, why not?
Excellent, well, good luck to you, and thank you for everything you've done.
Now, we could let the,
Yeah, sure.
if the people who were, we have one more delegation, but they're more, and it's a great delegation to have. You might want to sit and listen to them.
saying?
You'll never see it have a bigger crowd, but something that's very important as well to the community. And we have Allison and Shirley here, and the recruitment strategy for the Mapleton, Mental Mapleton Health Professional Recruitment Committee. And we're very excited to hear your report, because I've had a chance to read it, and it's all good news. So if you want to come up, and if everybody else can hang into this one, it won't be too long. But it's really important to the community, and I think these are two hardworking ladies that have done a great job of getting us what we need from a doctor's side. It's actually kind of falling apart now.
I'm
No, you have to push it down. Just you're all right now. We spent a lot of money in this high-tech stuff. Under $1,000. Not perfect.
I have a pretty good voice.
There you go.
Hi, my name is Shirley Borges, and this is Allison Armstrong. And my day job, I'm the Family Health Team Executive Director for Minto. Been doing that for maybe 9 years. And almost for that amount of time, I've been chairing the recruitment committee. And if there's any awards in terms of recruitment, it probably should go to Allison, because she really does a lot of the work. However, I do chair the meetings, and I try to support her and the committee as best I can. So it's been about a year, I guess, since we've been to council, and it's nice to see some new faces and some faces that I've seen before. And
Old's the correct word.
She was looking too long.
I know.
I better just keep my mouth shut. And so we thought it would be good to give a little bit of an update as to what we've been doing over the past year, and kind of highlight a little bit of what we're going to be doing over the next year. And you're right there. It is a very important aspect of the life of a community and health of the community in terms of recruitment of healthcare professionals. And about a year ago, we were really celebrating the success of Dr. Doyen arriving, and she replaced Dr. Vanderkoy in his Hairston practice. And Dr. Doyen, I checked, has about 1,000 patients, so most of Dr. Vanderkoy's patients were transferred over to Dr. Doyen. And many of you know that she's on a mat leave right now, and she'll be returning to her practice in February. And we're really hopeful that she returns on time to see our patients and hopefully to continue to grow her practice. Allison and I have been supporting her over the past year in her practice and helping her to get up and running, and we're really fortunate to have her in our community. Just about 6 months ago, Dr. Donald retired, and he was a long-standing physician practicing out of the Drayton site. We're very fortunate to recruit Dr. Phil Deacon to the practice, and Dr. Deacon started in July. And of course, not solely out of the Drayton Clinic, they also work out of the hospital providing obstetrical and emerge and surgical coverage. So again, it's really Minto Mapleton. And perhaps even more interesting to some of your new counselors, we're focusing our efforts on our nursing recruitment, and in particular nurse practitioners. Over the past year, we're really having some issues in recruiting for mat leaves as well as for new nurse practitioners. And we're having some big competition from our cities, as well as some of our other healthcare organizations that are able to compensate our nurse practitioners at higher rates. So we really applied many of the same strategies we've used for physician recruitment to our nurse practitioners. And cross our fingers, we have been successful. But again, there will be more mat leaves, and I'm sure more transitions that we'll have to work through. The recruitment committee continues to be active in our community, and Ron, thank you for your ongoing support and attendance as the town Minto representative on our recruitment committee. And Allison and I really do depend on the committee's advice and support and guidance through our work. We need to work together on this issue, and together we're a better product. We have better ideas and some new things to try and strategies. So Allison and I are really appreciative of the committee's support. And I think probably I'll turn it over now to Allison to highlight the strategies that we've been working on for success and looking to the next year as to what we're up to.
I also have to thank Mary Lou. She sits on our committee too as the Chamber of Commerce rep, as well as Belinda. So we have a lot of support, and we feel very fortunate in this community because we always have had that support. So as Shirley and I said, it doesn't just take me to recruit a physician, it takes an entire community. It's not just the physician we're usually looking to recruit, it's an entire family. So we're looking for the support from economic development. So we're looking for spousal support, we have that as well, and understand what's happening in the community so we can explain it properly. In terms of initiatives this year, we've done, because we did well with recruiting physicians, and some of these positions were huge. To try to recruit to a solo practice is a difficult thing these days, because as you know, we've talked about it in the past, most new grads are looking for group practices. So we were really lucky to get Dr. Doyen in. And again, we're working on the Minto Rural Health Center because our next stage will be Palmerston. And, you know, Dr. Cressy's looking down the road, and we know that these new grads are looking for these group practices, so having that Minto Rural Health Center in Palmerston will be a huge benefit when we're going up to recruit. And Dr. Cressy willing to move into that clinic to help attract new people in is a great thing. We've also been working a lot with trying to increase our medical students and residents in the community. With Dr. Can and Dr. Donald leaving, we lost two of our big preceptors. So Dr. Peterkin has stepped on to take new residents, and Dr. Cressy is always a terrific preceptor. So it's trying to build the capacity in order to bring our medical students and residents in so we can get the exposure and try out the community and, you know, fall in love with what we know they will fall in love with when they come to the community. Other things we've been helping with is physician startup costs when they're coming to the community. There's things we need to help with, whether it's moving here or getting into the clinic, setting up all of those things. Locum support lately, people who need to take mat leave or need vacation time. So it's finding those locums to come in and cover the physician practice, which is another great way to recruit because it allows them that opportunity to come in for a month or two and again try it out. Site visit support, whenever we have a physician interested in the community, we sort of wine and dine them.
No.
Discard that for a minute. Yeah, dine them, and just, you know, again, put them up, we usually put them up at the Nickel John House and take them out for dinner just to introduce them to our medical staff. Marketing initiatives are very important to us. We do have a recruitment website solely for our physician and nursing recruitment. We'll probably need to update and refresh that soon, but we also have postcards that we hand out at all our recruitment fairs and banners that we bring. So all of those materials, again, from your support, we're able to do that. And this year we did something new in terms of retention and appreciation because we don't feel we were doing enough of that. We're all about the recruitment, but we also have to thank our staff. And not just our physicians, but our nurses and all our allied health professionals, all our community healthcare workers, just to say thank you from the community, and we really appreciate having them here. So if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have a healthy community to live in, and it's so important. So I could talk forever on this subject. Yeah, but please ask away questions.
Questions for you? Yeah.
I brought my quiet voice.
Oh. Yes.
I did want to comment that Dr. Sutherland was out at the Christmas party at the Chamber of Commerce, and she was a delight. And I think she really got introduced to a lot of people and saw our community and really appreciated what we're all about, which was really great.
Yeah, she would be wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so anything we can do, as you know, and through economic development, and I'm a great believer in Belinda knows this. Economic development is quality of life. I mean, it's our libraries, it's our immigration centers, it's our hospitals, it's our care. That creates the opportunity for us to recruit people to come to our community to help disperse some of our tax dollars out there so we can get more people moving in and building houses and creating a bigger base. And without that, we're not going to survive. So it's very important business, and I know there's always commitment from us on a dollar standpoint, which I don't feel this last council, I'm sure this council will be very easy to put it in the budget, because what you've done in the last 2 years or 3 years since I've been seeing the results, it really is. And we were in a situation, a tough situation. You kind of sugarcoated a bit, but our doctors are getting older, and that. Now the next thing I need you to do is our plumbers are 54 years old. So can we do plumber and electrician recruitment of some sort? But we work at the same 64 anyways. We're losing our plumbers because we're too old. But anyway, well, I don't know. but it's a very important, and thank you very much for coming today and explaining that.
Thank you for your support.
Just on one more issue, at the last meeting that we had, it was very interesting for me to hear that there is not a shortage of doctors in Minto, and that anyone who needs a doctor in Minto can find a doctor in Minto. Maybe could you just explain, being we are on TV, how that they go about that if they currently don't have a doctor?
Right, so now there's the government runs a program called Healthcare Connect. So for any Ontario resident looking for a physician who is not currently rostered to a physician, so doesn't currently have a physician, they can call or look on the website on Healthcare Connect, and they will help find them a physician in the community. And the physicians sign up with the Healthcare Connect program, so the Healthcare Connect providers know who in the community is taking on patients. So, and they also try to, if you're a complex case or you really need help quickly, they will make sure they find somebody for you, or fast track it and get you into somebody as quickly as they can.
Getting back to that, if I move into town and I'm already connected with a doctor, do they disconnect my other doctor.
Yeah. Yeah, the general rule of thumb, and it is confusing, and it's how the government sets up this rostering system. It's very confusing for the public to understand, but when you actually roster with a physician, you sign a paper saying this is my physician and this is who I go to. And if you want to leave that physician and go to another one, you have to de-roster with your physician that you're currently with in order to re-roster with a new physician. While you're in transition, that other physician you had still has to continue to see you as a patient until you get re-rostered with a new physician.
Can you choose, or do you choose for?
No, it's basically whoever's on the healthcare connect list, because not all physicians at any time might be taking patients. Yeah.
So they would take into consideration where you live. So, for example, if Dr. Cussy, who is on Healthcare Connect, if you're in the Minto area, Palmerston area, that would be a likely provider. If you're in the Drayton area, one of the physicians that's on Healthcare Connect would be, you'd be matched with them. So they do try to match based on geography and need, as Allison's expressed.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Bridge, I know one of the challenges that you two ladies have had in the past is getting the knowledge of the community down to the medical schools and whatnot, so that there is an attraction from recruits to come to the area. Has that, I know you've done a lot of work in that area, has that improved any?
Yeah, definitely, especially with increasing, building the capacity for physicians to take on students. The more students that come and have a positive experience, the word spreads. We're working very closely with McMaster. We're looking at new things such as, we used to have rural skills days where the students would come to us, but now we're looking at putting the physicians at the medical school to do a talk on rural medicine in general. So to try to reach more students, because we're limited with how many people we can have here. We only have so many physicians, and it's tough to take away the time and do all of that. So we're trying to take the physicians or the residents that are currently in the community to go back to the schools and do a talk on rural medicine and what that means, because it is very different than practicing urban family practice, right? Our physicians do so much more than just primary care practice. It's all the hospital work they do as well. So we're trying to increase and build upon that, and I think we're doing quite well. Having that McMaster Medical School in KW has been a great thing, and I think what they're finding too is that to try to increase the medical students in the medical schools, they need the preceptors to take the students. Well, we're limited with our preceptors. There's only so many physicians out there, or so many specialists that can take students. So it's tough to just say, okay, we'll take on more medical students. We can't do that because we don't have the teachers.
And just to follow up on that, the two new medical schools in Sudbury, and I believe Thunder Bay is the other one, that they probably produce more doctors than the North can use right at this particular time. Do we get overflow from them at all? At all?
No, because they like the northern students. Their hope is the same as us, right? That's their strategy, is that they're going to stay in the north, and they need it more than, I think the southern communities right now. So when they're placing them, they have to stay in the north to do their placements. But not mean, they could graduate and decide where they want to go, but.
Sure.
Linda?
I'm just going to add to the point about students. And one of the things that we're doing that's new this year is Allison's provided us a list of the residents, I guess, who are coming into the hospital, and either in Minto or Mapleton, because like you said, they're in Mapleton, they're still at Palmerston Hospital, and we're going to be creating nice welcome packages and trying to introduce those people, embrace them more into the community while they're here, to get a better idea of what it is like here when they're connected with some people. So
And I know you've used our videos.
Yes.
Our,
All of that helps enhance what they're trying to do. So it makes it so much easier having this marketing materials.
I think our best vehicle though is us.
Yeah.
So when our residents come and our students come, and we actually have a number of nurse practitioners, students also coming from McMaster, the word spreads. So they have a good experience. They're involved in our community. They attend community events. They live in our community during their residency or their placement. That is the best vehicle that we have, and so we really try to focus and be organized when they come to visit and provide a really valuable experience. So that takes, as you're right, a lot of work, and it's not just us, it's all of us. Just as Mary Lou mentioned, Dr. Sutherland being in and making her feel comfortable in our community. So I I think we all need to continue to move forward in that direction together.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. So when we talk about stats, we talk about our community where we're not over-serviced, but we're not under-serviced. We still have Healthcare Connect. So what about the rest of the communities in the province? Are those stats put forward? How many municipalities are under-serviced in the province? Is there still a lot?
They switched the program. It's no longer called under service. It's your rurality index, and I am not a math person, so I don't know. All I know is it has something to do with how far you are from an urban center and you're considered rural. So there's incentive programs for rural communities, and then there's incentive programs for those more northern rural remote communities. So they have these formulas that they work, and we're lucky that we do have that financial incentive to give new grads coming out to our community. So it's a return of service. They have to sign up for so many years, and over time they'll get some incentive for that, which helps. Every little bit helps.
Just one comment on that, and Dr. Peter can always, she participates in a recruitment committee, and things can be great today, and tomorrow a physician leaves, or a physician retires, or a physician goes on mat leave. And without plans in place, it really can leave the entire community quite stretched. And so our work is ongoing, and we know there are retirements coming. Do we know the exact date? No. And we know physicians will continue to have babies and remain in our community. And we also know there are some physicians that may choose to move out of the community for whatever reason. So it's always this balance. And I think we don't ever want to be cocky in the sense that, oh, we fully met the needs and we can move on to others. That unfortunately won't ever be the case for us. And I think we're also becoming more aware it's not all about physicians. We need to look at all of our healthcare professions and our professionals, including for us more importantly right now, our nurses and our nurse practitioners.
We also know transition is the best way. Physicians aren't quite ready to retire. They just can't stop. So they want to transition somebody slowly back off. Well, your new grads are coming. It's like the nurse graduate guarantee program. You get your new grads coming in and you slowly mentor them into the system, and it's a way for us to see if they're a good match and also learn as they're going. So it's kind of our strategy.
Jean?
Do they still have the caps on the positions? Because I know it's an issue, say in Fergus, where they still need positions. There are people who don't have a position, but they're capped with the number of positions they can have. The government talked about lifting the caps, but they're working their way slowly through the formula, and it's very slow. And they also focused on the north to start that, to bring it down.
Right now, we know that the easiest is to do a one-to-one transfer. So if you know a physician's retiring, it's easier to bring a new physician in. They'll just automatically do it. Trying to introduce a new physician into these family health organizations, that are referred to as FOs, you have to apply for it, and they have to see the need in the community. So they want to see, a big long wait list before they're going to allow that, or know that that physician can go in and build the roster size up. So I think with Fergus, it's we have 3 coming in. So even though the wait list is there, they know those 3 will be coming in, and we'll be able to hopefully pick up that wait list. So yeah, it's always, and you know what? And what we say today could change tomorrow. We're always trying to work with, oh, we didn't know that rule was there. Okay, we'll have to work with that. So to the best of our ability, that's kind of where we're at right now.
I don't think the cap is as severe as it was before. No, it's been loosened, but you're right, Allison. For us, we've had retiring physicians, so it actually has been an easier case that we're transitioning from retirement to this new position. So it'll be interesting if we get to the point where, for example, a physician only wants a part-time practice, and how do we pair that with another
And
physician?
that's currently happening in Fergus. Some of them are partly up, and some of them are, they can't roster.
You
They're
have
not
to
allowed
make a
So
case.
they're working with a rostered physician, and they just have a business deal between the two. To work it out.
Our morality score will be better in Minto
Yes.
than it is in Mapleton than it is in Fergus.
Fergus doesn't have a morality. It's not considered under service because we're too close to law. Yeah. So, and that's okay. We're fine with that. So.
Can I have a motion to accept? How do you want to do this?
Mayor Bridge, if you would, accept the delegation and bring the 10,000 forward to the budget.
Yeah. Ron, second by Judy, all in favor? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Ron, we have a recruitment meeting coming up.
Yes,
You
and-
gotta go to Florida and you.
And that's where I'm going to be.
Just like to bug you.
If the delegations want to leave now, they can. We're gonna get into some other stuff that's not as much fun. I'm sure it's not as much fun. Except for us, of course. Fun for us.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thanks for coming.
You're
Take care, you
welcome to stay,
guys.
of course.
No, I think we're moving on.
Allison, you could change the venue.
Yeah.
You could change the venue.
We can come to Florida.
Yeah.
I'll come, we're in, I'm in.
Yes.
You might be wine there.
Mine and the
I don't think they're gonna ask for it. No, I wouldn't. Sorry, I thought that's hard.
I'm in Florida. Bye, guys. Bye.
Yes. Put me down. Yeah. They able to break their zoom on it now, it's like a ton of bricks. All right. Next up is the public question period.
You just
You
don't
also have
let
almost.
We did that one.
No. They didn't do that strategically, but passes grinning over there. Correspondence received for information regarding direction of council. Has everybody got a chance to review the correspondence? Motion received. They got the mayor, Walter, and Councilor Caldwell. All in favor? I'm just getting rid of my county ones. I will public one of the commissioners. All right. So that was all they did.
Yeah, Mayor Bridge, we have 5 sets of minutes. And it's interesting to note that the Maiden Source Protection minutes are nearly a year old. You might want to refer to the report I gave you later on in the agenda regarding the Maiden Source Protection Authority Board. It is kind of a holdover, but we did finally get the minutes, so we bring them to you as soon as they arrive. So really, unless you would like us to go through them, they're just a motion to receive those sets of minutes.
Just a question, Mayor Bridge or CEO White, is that liable to improve?
Well, they may not be very functional, I don't think.
Not yet, anyways.
If I may, through you, Mayor Bridge, the Conservation Authority board minutes tend to come reasonably quickly. The source protection minutes, as the mayor said, I think that committee is not on for the books, but we do have to appoint Councilor Turpin to that to sit as part of his board responsibilities, so.
Maybe you can speak to
Another source.
Maybe you'll have to take them.
Yes, I was wondering if I could, get some information on the Harrison hydrology project, is maybe an executive summary, maybe I've already been. But is that available for us, or is it still a process, or is it?
Yes, Bill, you want to talk about it? We were in the process.
All right, what we did was, and I'm not sure whether it was this council or the last one, before the new year, we approved $25,000 of the $50,000 budgeted last year to do some more detailed stormwater measurement in the Harrison watershed of the Maitland River. And that was so that we can begin to prepare the flood line mapping. We don't have the results of that additional funding yet. Last I heard, the equipment was going in around Christmas time or just before Christmas. So in a nutshell, it was funding some equipment that allows the watershed to be monitored more accurately, so we have better ideas on flows.
And the idea was get them in to now, so we can have it for the spring runoff.
And then we would be bringing information back from that monitoring through our consulting engineer to you to look at new flood lines for Harrison.
ongoing. It was in those minutes.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
That equipment is in now, I was talking to them in the fall,
Motion to accept the minutes, George, we're gonna do that. That's a motion. Also Turton, second by Mayor Faulkner, all in favor?
Before we leave that subject, Mayor Bridge, have we ever established ownership of the old railway bridge abutment that goes over the Maitland River, would be just north of Arthur Street, by the train station? That's one of the areas of concern of holding the water back is that those, the old, each side of the river, the abutments. The bridge was taken out, but the abutments are still there. And that's one of the issues of holding the water up.
I guess I can probably make mention of that when they're doing the study, because they're placed in the lower end, right?
Yes.
And I believe, where does it start as the municipal drain? It starts around there as the municipal drain, so if it's municipal drain, we do have somewhat of an ownership.
Well, the municipal drain is still west of that.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay. I know when they were looking at the map, it was starting there, I thought it was the river, but they call it the municipal drain for some reason.
Well, it includes Dredge Creek.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't have an answer for that question, I'll have to.
Thank you.
But we'll make sure we have it in that, try to put it in that report.
Sure. And I ask it because of the timing of the bridge, perhaps on 87 Highway, that's going to be replaced.
Okay. Make sure we enter that. Okay, anything else? We're moving on, I guess, to staff reports.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. The next one, I guess, we have a presentation that was in your package. The difference from your package to this presentation on the screen will be that there will be some cost information. I'll call it very, very preliminary, but I just received it for 5 minutes before we got into this meeting. So.
I just want to make a comment before we start this. I don't have a pecuniary interest in this, but just in the interest of being open and transparent, our son has rented this land last property season and some before that. So I just wanted to make that. I just wanted to note that.
We'll look at it in minutes.
Thanks.
We'll give you a little bit of background on the process that we've been going through here and where we are, and what stage we're at, and what it means to have the study along this far. It was funded to be completed last year. One of the issues that held us up a little bit was archaeological information, which is all part of it. So we just missed the land being prepared, and so we did manage to get it out under so they could have their look at this fall. And then we'll get into some preliminary servicing options and where we go from here. Just to orient you to where we're talking about, we're looking at the Harrison Industrial Park, which includes the existing industrial park, which is Hutchison Street and John Street. Farm Fresh is right where that red dot is right now. We have 11-acre parcel here and a 55-acre parcel in here. Our treatment lagoons are right at that location. The acreage that Councilor Dirksen's talking about, and right in here. Scott as the contractor. We began this process in October 2013. We were doing this through BM Ross Engineering. We have a planner, Kelly Bader, who's been working with us on this. They initiated this process. They sent out notices to the various agencies and said that the town of Minto is looking to expand their industrial park in a couple of phases. One, the 11 acres, sort of west of John Street and Hutchison Street, and then the other 55 acres further to the southwest. We didn't get a lot of feedback, to be frank with you. We got some basic comments on it, but not a lot of concern by the agencies out there. I mentioned the archaeological issue. We did do an assessment on there. They have different stages that they do. This one only warranted a stage 1 assessment. They did actually find 2 really nice arrowheads on the property, but they're really nice arrowheads. They think they're kind of random, so there's no settlement or anything expected to be here. But so the professional people who do that work are saying that we're fine as far as that goes. In November, we had a meeting with some of our staff here to go over some of these options, and then they prepared this presentation for you so that I could deliver it. And then after this, we will send out the options to the agencies one more time. And then, assuming there's no serious concerns, we'll have a completed Class EA that is good for 10 years. And you'll see later there's road patterns in there that we can follow when we develop the land. So as long as we follow generally those road patterns, we'll be able to develop the property. That's just a little more detailed overhead view of the industrial park and where things are. There's some shots viewing west down John Street. And viewing east down John Street. That's towards Highway 9, so that's the lands we will be developing, sort of from the first 11 acres. So that's what they look like. They're relatively flat. On the property, there's a couple of, call them pond-like areas. They're kind of low-lying areas that are kind of scrubby. Probably will not be developed, but we'll have a look at that. That's the 55-acre parcel as it stood sometime this spring. So here's the process of the Class EA that we will be going through. It's a planning and design process for municipal water, wastewater, and roads projects that looks at the impact of the project on the environment and the area, and to make sure that we mitigate any potential issues that are there. And those are the criteria you have to consider: natural, social, cultural, economic, and built environments. It's very, very complicated, but in our case, not a huge issue because it's not a particularly sensitive area in terms of the natural, social, cultural environment application. There's a more detailed flow chart of the process. You define the problem. The problem in this case is developing lands or identifying road patterns and development patterns for the future. You look at alternatives. You consult with the public and agencies. You look at the impacts and you select an ultimate plan, and that will be council's final decision what alternative goes in the capacity. So there's the problem definition, which is a lack of service industrial land in Harrison. Linda's been so great in selling it all. We need to expand, and that's a good thing. The 3 alternatives are expand Harrison Industrial Park, expand just the 11 acres, expand the 11 plus 55 acres, or do nothing and not have any municipal industrial land for sale. At this point, we're heading down alternative 1 or 2 or some phase of those. Unless you tell us otherwise, or we hear through the process that we shouldn't do that. And that's the recommendation. Alternative 2, which is the service, the 11 acres and 55 acres. They've indicated the justification here, and it seems, I mean, this kind of seems obvious to everyone maybe to some degree, but the Class EA process is that, just that, it is a process where this is all formalized, so well, this all seems to make a lot of sense. I mean, what else would you do but this? It still has to be stated and put in writing and go through the whole process. So it allows the alternative to servicing both the chunks of property, allows the services to be sized to accommodate future development of the whole thing. It allows us to phase our options and coordinate it with demand. In other words, we'll only invest in infrastructure as we need to sell the land. So I don't think it would be a wise thing to put all the patterns and services in that you're going to see here in the next 5 years, because I would suspect that as good as we are in economic development, we're probably not going to sell 66 acres in 10 years. We might, but it would be a nice problem to have. So we'll have to phase it with our investments, and that's part of our budgeting process that will be going forward. It gives the environmental approvals for both parcels so that we don't have to go through this again. and it provides more available land options. So if you have someone that needs 10 or 20 acres, great problem to have. Well, we should be able to accommodate them here. So the sanitary sewer servicing that they're proposing is a gravity service for the 11 acres from the existing John Street sewer, and there's also the option of a deeper John Street sewer, but we're not really recommending that. We're going to use the existing sanitary sewer proposed in this project. And for the 55 acres, we'll need a new sewage pumping station and force main to service some of that. Or we could go into this much deeper John Street sewer and feed everything from gravity. But when you look at the cost benefit, and it will be a surprise to me when we see them here, but in talking to the engineers, the cost of digging and putting in a deeper sewer on John Street so you can feed the whole 55 acres with gravity is probably not going to pay off for the investment. So we'll be looking at a pumping situation here. But in terms of water supply to both the 11 and 55 acre parcels, can be serviced by a 300 millimeter water main within the proposed road extensions. And there is sufficient capacity in the waterworks system to provide that water service. The issue we have there now and into the future is the pressure for firefighting purposes. And so we will need at some point a ground level storage facility, as it's worded there, with booster pumps. So basically something that holds water that we can use to up the pressure if needed to fight fires. In terms of stormwater management, you can see this very well, but what it had in here was at this end right in there, there's a stormwater management pond being installed with a treatment facility of some part, so it collects the sedimentation and also held the stormwater back, as I recall, with an overflow into the lagoons. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's in this area over here. For these lands, we'll be able to service with the existing drainage system that's in place. Some of the lands in the 11 acres will require on-site stormwater management, so controlling water. There is a note that on the back in here. And each of those lots, when they're developed, will require site-specific grading and drainage details to come forward through to you under the site plan approval process. So phase one is extend the sewage and water servicing and extend John Street West to the temporary cul-de-sac and construct the water storage that are including in there. We'll have to look at whether that's needed now. I mentioned we do have a pressure issue when we get into firefighting, and so we need to understand that a little bit more. But we do have certain protections in place that the fire department has, but the question is, do we build that water storage now? The recommendation from BMROS at this point is that it be considered as part of phase one. Phase two would be extend John Street south to the center of the 55 acres and extend the water main and construct sanitary sewer work as well, and construct a stormwater facility and outlet. That was at the far end of the development. And phase three would be to extend the roads to the entire 55 acres. So when we get into the option, I'll show you where the breaking point is for that stormwater pond, but basically before you go too far on to the property, that control at the outlet would be needed on that. I think you can actually see the break right in here, if I'm not mistaken. So this would be the first option into here. And then the surface water pond, they've identified that as the location, but it could be really anywhere. The pond, so that's one of those triangular pieces we acquired from the province, but it really could go anywhere in that area. Basically, it's just an area where water sits. We also talked about whether it could be doubled up here or not. So I think they feel like we should have that sooner rather than later. So again, we're just sort of at a high level as far as these options. We're not asking you to approve servicing best. Right? It all has to be properly designed. So I think that shows phase one being in here, the 11 acres. A temporary cul-de-sac would like to be in here, so that would give us 7 or 8 lots around that. That's probably a $300,000 to $400,000 project, we're imagining, maybe more, depending on who's doing that. And then phase 2 would be in this location. In terms of getting the roads, the option is coming up the rail line and down, or coming through the Harrison's property and in like that. We have had preliminary discussions with Josh and Peter Harrison about coming in that direction, and I think they may be interested in that. We do have a land deal going with them over here, and once that land deal is done on that side, we may talk to them about the other side too. Here comes cost estimates, which I have not seen before. So phase 1 is a lot more than I had imagined. Water and storage water means $1.8 million. Option A, gravity, sewer, and sand. SPS. Anyway.
Sewer pumping station.
Oh, okay. Water mains 195, sewage 115.
I got that cold.
Somebody's fired.
And the roads are 555,000 for option A. Option B is 975,000. So obviously we're not interested particularly in option B at this point. And even in my mind, option A may be a little high. And so unfortunately we didn't get to vet these before you saw them because I'm concerned with those amounts. But needless to say, that's the amounts that they've given us. For phase 2,
No, sorry, CEO, could you go back one slide, please? That, where there was option A and option B.
That's a lot more than
that one?
No, thanks.
That one?
That one. Okay, and option B, that's the deeper one, right, that you were talking
Yeah,
about?
option B would be John Street, putting the sanitary sewer deeper.
Deeper. And does that change the capacity at all?
No, it just gets you.
Just that deeper? Yeah, just gravity. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Oh, you can see at the bottom, estimates includes 20% contingency in engineering and excludes drain improvements, I think. That's it.
Drain number 70.
Number 7 is the upgrade.
All right.
Which would be the Fisher?
The Palmerston one bill was around 300,000, so this is comparable, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, and so this estimate is quite a bit higher.
I think he's went on the high side quite a bit.
It's normal for engineering consultants to give you the high end.
Save you money at the end, right? It's never really saved.
Again, remember what we're trying to do is sort of outline a pattern and select a course to head. If we were heading into a direction that we didn't see costs that were anywhere close to being reasonable, then I think we would need to stop the process here. So that $1.8 million water storage and water main amount concerns me, so I think we need to know a lot more about what that is. That's to secure fire protection. This is cost estimate for phase 2, which is kind of halfway up to 55 acres. So again, 1.29 for gravity, and that has the pumping station in it for 620,000. So you save 230,000 under option B here, but on the previous ones, you're paying 400,000 more there. So
CEO, sorry to ask so many questions. You talk about the deeper sewage, okay, for gravity flow, and I can see the cost difference up there is what, about 300,000? No, 400,000. What would the cost be of a pumping station?
620,000 right there.
That's it. Oh, now I see it. Yeah, sorry, missed it.
So phase 2, it becomes cheaper if we had gone along with option B in the first place.
Except it's more money.
It's 500,000 more, 400. thousand more, 420,000 more at the front end, and then and $230,000 capital at the back end option B. And then there's another 300,000 for all gravity. Okay.
Well, Bill, it's great to look at these numbers, but I'm not convinced that they're right, so. I think we can sit here all night and look at them and we'll make them wanna go away, but
It'll be a short discussion.
at 1.8 or whatever, we can't do it.
Yeah.
So I think we need to get back to staff and have them look at those, because if you're saying, Brian, it's $300,000 for what we did over in Palmerston, right?
Yeah, for distance wise for your cul-de-sac, you're looking approximately same distance.
Same distance,
Harrison probably a little bit more
right?
of a distance coming off like Main Street in Palmerston, Minto Road, I think it's called. It'll be a little farther in, but
What engineering firm did that one?
Triton.
Right.
And then last but not least, phase 3, you can see the gravity's option is more money for option B. So it kind of bounces from A to B.
Sure does.
At the end of the day, we feel like the increased cost of removing John Street and rebuilding it and putting in a deeper sewer at that point, it's not, it may take you many years to get to option B. So, an option, or one before that. So, at this point, and we can have the engineers back and get to the final slide here, one of the near end slides. In terms of where we are, we need feedback from the municipality. So I think what I've heard loud and clear is we need the cost estimates confirmed. We need to know that the 1.8 million for that water storage facility, is that needed now or not?
Yeah.
And then we'll go out with the options as outlined to seek more input. And then the draft screening report will be prepared, and that will come back to you for review at that time. But we need any more feedback from you. The layout is rather obvious. The servicing is what is the issue. And I think, to be honest with you, seeing those numbers 10 minutes beforehand is I think it bears more explanation. I had, to be frank with you, we met in November. I do not recall a $1.8 million figure being put forward for that water storage facility. I know Terry and Brian were in that meeting, so I'm a little bit surprised to see that.
Can we make a recreation facility out of it somehow? No, spot it or let people fish at it.
And in fairness to the engineers, you're not being asked to approve that today. We're just laying out where we've come and at a high level, what may your concerns be, and I think it's pretty clear your concerns are ours, it's cost at this point. I don't know if the fire chief has any comments about fire protection, is that a?
It's needed. Fire protection is, I don't know the water, we'd have to run more calculations, as you said, that was just a draft that we just quickly threw at the end of the year and say, make sure the flow rates can match what size of buildings you're gonna have back there. And, whether it's storage pond and it's gonna boost the pressure enough, or whether we get enough pressure running water, we have to look at that further. But that's just a rough ballpark.
Because on those figures, I guess you're anticipating sprinkler systems and different things that would have to be in certain buildings.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
This may be a really dumb question.
Go ahead.
Is there any other land that we can service a lot cheaper in Harrison that we could purchase and maybe sell this land to someone and for agricultural purposes or whatever, and get something that's a lot less? Is that a possibility? Is there any, I don't know of anything available, I don't know. I'm asking the question.
I don't have that answer. I mean, there are other privately owned parcels, the Harrisons own other lands. And there's the road, the Shippenance property across the road, but there aren't parcels of this size. The council, previous councils, I saw that this would be where we would expand, so I think we're looking at a reasonable, developing a reasonable plan to move forward with it. So the shorter answer is there are other lands, but nothing that we've looked at to this degree. So we require selling these, finding others, and doing the same process for those.
This
As a service.
it seemed like an awful, quite a charge to service the property. And I would hope, I wondered whether we looked at anything that would be less costly to service, and we can get into ready service property a lot quicker and a lot cheaper.
Well,
I don't know that.
I guess, Ron, what I'm hoping is that we go back and relook at some of these figures. We got 10 minutes ago, probably in fairness to Bill and the staff. I mean, they're not numbers we can work with. I totally agree with you, but maybe let's at least turn the page here and try to come up with other alternatives or look at it, because I'm not, just because somebody says that's what it costs, and I'm not totally agreeing that that's what's going to be at the final stage. Or maybe figure out what we have to do. We might not even look at the other 55 and maybe never be able to come into play. But maybe we can do something with the 11, right? But
If we need this property, then we should investigate it.
Well, I think you're right, and I think that we got to go back to the table and kind of come back to this through committees and through the staff and come up with better. Maybe have the engineers here to talk to them about it or whatever. But this is, I'm not going to get into it today because I'm thinking this is for information. And my first gut feeling is information I don't think it's been vetted. So am I right on that? You mean, in fairness, you got this 10 minutes ago. I mean, I was shocked at 1.8. Like, we never ever talked about 1.8 for doing something out there.
What has been vetted is the overall concept of where the roads might go, and the fact that we needed a water retention pond to provide fire protection. What we probably weren't aware of, in my mind, is that it was needed at a cost of $1.8 million just to do the cul-de-sac on the 11 acres. I don't.
I mean, that's enough.
And I'm not 100% sure that that's what they intend to say there, but that's what they have put in that. But if you look at where it is, it's put above there. So I think that's a decision we may be able to make. I think there's some discretion in that. I think the 11 acres may be more than we need for 5 years or more here. So, you know, maybe you service phase 1 and 2 at a reasonable cost, and you get the detailed work done in the future, and 30 acres remains as an agricultural park. So, you know, and then you go on to some other property or whatever you want.
Or you restrict what can go in there, in the sense that something can go in there, like we talked about agriculture incubator, that type of thing, which would maybe need the fire protection that you might not need, whatever. So I think it just takes more. We need to take it back and have a look at it. Are you asking for just recommendation to do that today?
No, there's no recommendation. It's just to take feedback.
Yeah.
I think you can see the road pattern. It makes sense, certainly for the 11 acres.
Yeah.
The road system alternatives through on the rail tracks or through the Harrison property. Both of those are allowed for in the Class EA, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
If we get, the further we go on to this 55 acres, quite frankly, the higher your servicing costs are. We've also explained to you that there are 2 options to provide sanitary sewer to this. One is removing that road and dropping that sewer down quite a bit deeper and going with a gravity flow system for the whole thing. That increases your cost for one phase, it decreases your cost for another, and it increases your cost for a later phase. But you're not being asked to make that decision today. You're just being pointed out that here are the things that as future councils come forward in the next 10 years to develop these lands that they're going to have to deal with. So once we get the Class EA approved, the decision on when to build that is entirely up to you.
Well, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. But right now it's information. So I don't want to go down that path of should we be dumping it, doing whatever. We have a lot of information to gather here before we make any decisions based on future growth and whatnot. So
the other thing is that we need a stormwater retention facility when we get into this.
Yeah, we get into that spot.
So another point of feedback, in addition to, because we did have that question, well, maybe it would be better to do that if we only did one or two of those phases into the future, is maybe we look at, well, what about that, and just leaving it out of the EA? Because that may just make that whole thing prohibitive. And that if you don't see that back piece developing in the next 10 years, maybe look at just something up there and then what does that project? So we could ask for that feedback. What does leaving the back piece do? This is what you can sort of service readily without putting in a stormwater pond. The phase, certainly I don't know that we need this water storage facility for the cul-de-sac or even part of the cul-de-sac, but I'm guessing you wouldn't want to go into that phase without having that. Maybe that gets incorporated into somewhere around there. And even so, you know, even if you did just the road and put a cul-de-sac there and left the future road space, you could do that, but in the next 2 years will give you 7, 8, 9, 10 lots to sell. And you're, as the public works director said, you're looking at a price of something less than 550,000 to do that. So I think we've given you the upper level concerns.
Yeah.
And
You're pretty well scared the heck out of us.
Yeah.
Maybe try and manage the message. It's always good, it's always good to have the worst case.
Well, yeah, that's good. Well, we got her out there now. That's good. Okay.
And we are in committee, so.
I know. Linda's just sitting there going, I just wanted a couple more lots.
We're gonna focus on Palmerston.
Yeah, and you know, we can take the money we make from those and put away to see what this can happen, so. Yeah, we have other options. It's not like we're dead in the water as far as industrial sites in our community, so.
Yeah, we only had one property left in Harrison, but we had, with the new servicing in Palmerston, we have service lots ready to go.
Yeah.
And the certified sites designation, so that's where we're focusing our efforts, and that seems to be where the interest is right now, so.
Okay.
Mayor Bridge, if we could give the microphones to those guys.
Yeah.
If we could have a motion just to receive the presentation.
That's all I want.
And then to pass on concerns about the costing, and to have the clarification around the issue of the water retention facility phasing, so when that's needed, and to have them give some advice in the draft EA on whether or not it's even worth going beyond phase 1 or 2 into where we did those ponds, and then any other thoughts you may have.
Right, well, I think we covered it. Councilor Caldwell, Councilor Church. All in favor? Yeah, I think we need to look at it a little longer and put some fine tuning. There's something will come out of it, but let's figure it from there. Well, if you got anything more exciting than that, that was pretty depressing.
James, please, Mayor Bridge.
Bring in the new year.
And you know, right when we're going down into budgets too, eh? Like, this is really tough one. Bring in the new year.
That may help with your budget decisions on the capital side.
Yeah.
My next report can only get better. Delegations on the 2015 Ontario Good Roads, Rural Ontario Municipalities Conference. I've laid out, so since I've been kicking around here the last 4 years, the delegations that council has had with the various ministers. We've had quite a busy time at AMO in August. I wouldn't recommend you do 4 again, that's a little bit much. We already have on the books a resolution with the Minister of Health, and I'd like to have direction from you to put that in, which I think we already have, but the only other issue that we could come up with that maybe would be worth talking to the Ministry of Environment about is the length of time it gets to have a stormwater system or a sanitary sewer system approval come through from the Ministry of Environment. Right now, they're running in excess of 6 months. So that extension in Palmerston was put in, I'm guessing around this time last year, and it was well into May before it was ready to go ahead. And that is the case we're hearing from all the engineers all around Ontario. So to take an engineered drawing I'm not gonna call it rubber stamp it, but during a year to that, they charge $2,000 and take over 6 to 9 months to approve it. And if you were concerned about that, I know the engineers are, I know it's affected us in the, some of our projects here in Palmerston, and it could also affect the Clifford Ball Diamond development to some degree, so we think we have a solution to that, but there's no way it needs to take that long, it never used to take that long when that maybe one issue.
Sure, that makes sense. You could come with sort of.
If you give me direction to include that one in, then I'll put the brief together. That's a smart thing to do.
Reading the reports, one of the items that we did bring up last year that I don't know if it's been dealt with is the number of reports that we do. Is that still a major issue, or has it
got worse.
divided it all?
It's got worse, hasn't it? Of course.
Yeah.
Use your mic.
Sometimes.
Use your mic.
After that.
Gosh.
Yeah, there's more. Now, some of it is a consequence of all the grants that came down. So sometimes it does come with money with that, so.
Yeah, those ones we don't mind doing.
No, but, and that's the thing, we have to do it, and I know that municipal affairs and Ministry of Finance are making noises about going through and doing this, we suggested kind of review, using the financial information thing as your basis for almost all the information, it certainly hasn't been implemented yet.
So maybe just by us bringing this up again, it would keep that alive and you know.
Well, if you remember, they asked us to be on a task force.
Which we've never been asked.
No, because that minister left, and
Yes.
she's now the mayor of Brampton. But anyways, but, you know, we could send another letter just saying that, by the way, we've been waiting for our invitation to be on the task force to reduce the number of reports. Maybe it's lost, maybe there's a report on that somewhere.
Maybe the new mayor of Brampton will go with you.
Yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't hurt to probably go out and again on that.
I think that, you know, certain subjects that are key issues, we should year after year, if not, there hasn't been progress made.
Well, remember, we did go after them for source water management, about the fact that we never got a check in the mail when they sent the report down. And we had to do all this extra work and more people. And I think we went twice on that, did we not? And, not to say it was us that got it, but we did get a check.
Exactly.
And so it does work sometimes, they keep hammering on the same subject that doesn't get fixed. And I think the feeling at that point, I think, Gord, you were in that meeting, but the feeling was sort of, yeah, we have to look at it because we got the same problem at our end. You know, they can't cut back on staff or do things if they have all these reports that they have to look at.
That's very good, and there's a lot of duplication.
Duplication that's never got put away, right?
That's the point.
And you might find a lot of these reports are obsolete and not even really looked at. That's my key issue. Is, you know, this is the way it's been done, so you just keep doing it, and then you find out, does anybody really utilize the report?
Who's the minister now?
We met with Jeff Leo, he was
He's a Mafra now, Jeff's a Mafra, and Jeffries was the minister when we went the last time.
Minister what?
Municipal affairs, I think he went. Ken. Yeah, he first had.
And of course, the Ministry of Finance drives a lot of this, and they're not usually issues, but you can try municipal affairs.
Yeah, well, or even send a letter. Because we need a delegation.
The last time we went to municipal affairs, I think we got the new Rinaldi, and we had Lou twice, and I think he's listened to us, but you know, we have some connections maybe to the minister. It wouldn't hurt to ask again.
Yeah, no, I that's one that we could get eliminated, or get some change there that at least benefits not just us, but a lot of people. Taxpayers for sure.
So, remember, you have the Minister of Health and then the Ministry of Environment for the stormwater and water, or stormwater and sewer.
Yeah, it's a mic, you got a mic problem.
Marshall.
Did you want, did council wish to do the streamlining?
Let's show the streamlining back at it again. We're not gonna get 3 this time, are we?
sort of centralized that.
All right.
Well, if we don't get a delegation, we could always send a letter.
That's what I mean, yeah. Okay, just a follow-up is what we're doing now, yeah. Okay. Chief?
Just another thought, someone made a comment that it's tough to get into the extra finance. But several MPs sit on the committee board. It's a pretty powerful positions, and so Ms. Anders, for instance, is very local, and she's on the TV, and or others, can't name them off.
Yeah.
That might be a bit of a another way of talking finance without seeing the ministry finance.
Okay, good point.
So our financial issues, I think, are having a fully merit-based capital program as opposed to the half and half program right now, because we've done really well on the others. So financially, I think from our perspective,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I need to. Go over. Yeah.
exactly. Our tone has been kind of worked together to mutually control our costs.
Yeah.
And that's how we approach the streamlining. They seem to like that, respond to it.
Well, I think, yeah, you have to go to these things, not with, just individual situations, things that make sense from the overall, and things that you sort of give them a sort of an idea, there's solutions out there, like getting rid of reports. Shouldn't be that difficult. If everybody sat down and figured out which ones that you created that should have been another one destroyed, that happens all the time in every industry, in every business, and we tend not to think about it, and then all of a sudden you got an empire built, and somebody's sitting there all day looking at reports and nobody does anything like that. So that's what bugs me about reports. If it's a report that they look at and they get back to you and say, yeah, I see you're spiking here, you might want to do there, there's feedback back, there's communication back and forth. Those are good reports. They work. But it's these ones that go into a deep hole somewhere that never get, and we sit there and go and spend staff time and we never see anything from them, right? Those are the ones that bother me.
Where, I have an awesome meeting this month. If you wish, we could prepare a brief and I can bring that information to Olson, because we do get to hear the ministers when they're down there. We also bring it to Olson, who in charge of probably grant the ministry, if you want to do it through that way too. So people would travel both ways.
Sure.
Do that, so if I get our staff to prepare something and take the Olson.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, do that. Okay. Motion on the floor for that, Deputy Mayor Faulkner. Also, Church, all in favor? Go in that direction. We're in that live direction. All right.
Again,
I know.
draft municipal responsibility agreement for water and sewage services at Pike Lake. And those of you on the previous council will recall last summer, Pike Lake was in the process of upgrading their C of A's for the communal sewage services. They have these approvals through the Ministry of Environment. And the areas that in the process of doing that, they were in touch with us saying that the ministry was asking for this MRA, Municipal Responsibility Agreement. It basically says that in the event there is a default on operating those systems, that the town will be there to make sure, that those systems were operated properly. The areas in question are A and J, and they're circled on the colored map that you were provided. Those are basically the permanent reservoir areas of Pike Lake. So back in September, you passed the motion that's listed at the bottom of page 1 of the report, and that was to investigate the details of that municipal responsibility agreement. So I've attached to the report a copy of the agreement, prepared in a generic sense by our solicitor. He was quite willing to do that because he had done it for another municipality. That was helpful to go to him in that case. The template that we received from the Ministry of Environment was
brutal.
Yeah. This one's, what, 12 pages, and we're 10 pages, we're 5 times that, so. If you like, I could just take a moment to highlight some of the points in the agreement as to how it would function. I just would like to know too that the Pike Lake people have the agreement, they've had it here for several weeks now, and we'll need their comments on it to see if they have any concerns with the wording, but they are responsible for operating and repairing and taking care of the water and sewer services that they have on the property, and we're not providing any liability or responsibility for the quality or quantity of the water supply or the wastewater that they discharge to the stream. So in terms of the environmental responsibility, by signing this agreement, we're not taking that on. They are to prepare and maintain and implement all the manuals they need to run their systems, and they're to do that to our satisfaction and to the ministry's satisfaction. This issue of the manuals is quite a big one, so we don't want to be doing their operating manuals for them. And they're, of course, to make sure that they take care of the systems according to those manuals and that everything is operating accordingly. If there is an emergency on the property, then the town or its employees are needed to get in there. We have the right to go on the property. And then each year before April 1st, they report to us and the ministry on how they're dealing with their systems, how are they working, and so forth. So, of course, with the group that we have operating now, we don't anticipate any kinds of issues. They've been in the community for many, many years, and we know that they've taken an active role in making sure the systems are working properly. The agreement allows us and the ministry to go on and inspect the lands as we need to, and to obtain any documentation we need to satisfy ourselves that they're setting aside enough money and doing the right things by those systems. And under the agreement, we have to notify each other if there are any defaults. Basically, it requires the owner, being Pike Lake people, to remedy any defaults and to cover any costs. And if we do have to go in and do things, or if we do incur costs, they are charging us the property. So if they don't pay for that, then we can charge that in a like manner as taxes against the lands. And in addition, there's $5 million of insurance that they're carrying, and then we would be named as an additional insurer on that policy. And then we can't make any conveyances of those sections without our consent, which we would unreasonably withhold. So I think it's a rather thorough agreement. The issues where we haven't put things in that maybe some of the others might is holding a security that we might have in our pockets in the event we had to go in and do something here. I have no idea what that amount might be, or quite frankly, I'm not sure that it's necessary. But if we have the agreement and it's signed between the parties, if the municipality has to go in and do things, then it has a mechanism to collect its money either against the lands and as taxes. I mean, these are residents of our municipality that live in these areas. I think we owe them an obligation. They are paying taxes to the municipality too. So if there is a problem there, then we would have to go in and take care of things. I think the agreement also gives sufficient warning and mechanisms for us to monitor things. If problems start to develop, we can work with the owners to resolve them. So our recommendation is that you provide any comments on the agreement, and that but once it's reviewed by the Pike Lake people, that will come back for signature.
Wait, would this take away from the ministry's responsibility of inspection for inspection purposes and add some to our responsibility? That's the only area of concern that I might have in respect to this.
It by purposely puts the town in the ballpark with the ministry. It adds responsibility to us, but and it puts another partner with the MOE in terms of operating these communal systems, which, quite frankly, they prefer not to have. Yeah. As I mentioned in the report, they're a major ratepayer in the municipality, so they have
through you, Mayor Bridge, this is very comprehensive. I'm quite pleased with it. My question is, previous to this agreement, were the manuals shared with the town at all? Did we have any involvement with Pike Lake as far as the water system was concerned?
If I'm not mistaken, they may have asked this indirectly of the previous council for the last one, but other than we took some turn to their employees, I don't think that there's been any sharing of manuals or information like that. We did have our people go up before this came to you and have a look at the systems. Daryl Bueller, I know enough to talk to them, and we have Mike Doucette, who's now with us, who worked on those systems. So we're pretty good working knowledge of them. So I have had no feedback that we need to have any concerns about the way they're operating.
Thanks, Mayor Bruce. They kind of want us to be the big brother. If they have problems, we're there to help them. I don't think they've had problems. Like I said, I haven't heard of any orders that they've had out there. And do they have a DWQMS program? Are they under that? I know they're not a municipality, but they must have some sort of quality standards that they must meet. They do have.
Yeah, they got, I don't know if it's as intense as the municipality, but they do have one, they have to have one in place.
I mean, did they have a choice? Did they went Wellington North?
That, I don't know.
Doubt it because they're in our municipality.
Yeah.
See, because I think where this deal kind of protects us too is that we're down the road, we have to do any work, whatever, and there's a problem, whatever, we have the ability to deduct from the taxes, where it's if you're one north, we wouldn't have that ability.
That's correct. Yeah.
So I think that's why the ministry looked at us, because they pay taxes to us. And I think I'm with Mary Lou here and talking about the fact that, you know, we always had this responsibility, whether it was written or not, technically, because at the end of the day, if something happened out there, we have taxpayers that are on a well system, and we'd end up with 2 cents. This way, at least we have a spot where we're in there, we're able to monitor as we go along. The ministry gives us kind of a heads up, we're right there, we're ability to get ahead of the curve on this, rather than in the past not knowing.
Councilor Kurt hit it right on the head when he said it was like a big brother overseeing the smaller type. So
They know we have the expertise, and they know we've done a great job in the past.
Right.
And maybe they have as well, but we're here to help them.
Yes.
And all they want is us to say, yes, we'll help them when they need our help.
Exactly.
The bottom line with water is, and always comes back to council, if there's a failure. Is that same thing with Pike Lake now? If something they do, we didn't detect, or the ministry didn't affect, does that come back on this council?
The short answer is no, because they're saving environments under this agreement, and you're named as an additional insured under the policy, so you have $5 million of coverage there. But does that mean if something is horribly wrong, would you all be named? It's a possibility, but it might, as the mayor said, might have occurred anyway, because it is in our municipality. We're aware and receiving revenue from this for tax purposes, so I don't think this increases our liability. In fact, it gives us some additional protection we may not have right now, and that would be the liability insurance.
and we get to oversee the manual, we have to look at them.
If there's shortfalls happening, we'll be on it better than the ministry almost.
Right. Better thing.
Yeah. Okay.
I just want to make a comment that, really, I think this is just a natural evolution, of, Pike Lake looking after their water and sewer system. You know, going back to the time Minto and before that, the 3 former urban municipalities, you know, we didn't have things in place like we do now either. And so this is, I think this is just a natural progression of what's next between, a place like Pike Lake and the town of Minto.
I agree. Any other comments? Okay. Motion to accept the report. Ready? Dave, all in favor? Gene, you gotta get your hand up here. I'm gonna get you.
You gotta turn this way.
I'm gonna turn this way next. So be ready.
When I sat there, I just.
Otherwise, other than Dave knows you're at the meeting, I wanna make sure you're
I
ready.
make a bigger fuss.
No, you're fine.
I just learned my way.
That's no
I'll get
problem.
away with it as time goes by.
Mayor Bridge, you're leaning to the right.
I don't know what it, yeah, maybe.
My last report, Mayor Bridge, is on the Maitland Source Protection Authority Board. I'll call it an oversight on our part, not appointing Councillor Curtin to the Maitland Conservation Authority Source Protection Board, but
You don't want to overwork.
Apparently it is, so we have to do it by resolution, if that's okay. I think we meeting for him, going to up to 4 meetings a year, 15 to 20 minutes early.
Okay, we have a motion to accept that. Jean? All in favor?
They've done enough damage.
Yeah, you're done.
I think that was it.
I'll turn it over, are you taking over this? Yeah. Turn it over to Deputy Mayor Faulkner, who's the chair for the fire. And Chris is here and it's
Okay, thank you. Well, Chris, or the chief is getting ready. I just want to comment that last week we had Mr. Homuth over to the fire department, and we dedicated, I believe there's some 500 or 700 fire trucks. No, that's his total inventory. Right now, I think we've got 700. And then when something happens, we have to find room for the other. But just the curio cabinets that display it in the shelves, it's really worth a trip into the fire hall to see that. And Mr. Homuth was picked up and taken over, and there was quite a number of citizens at large that attended, and it was really quite impressive. And Mr. Homuth really appreciated the attention, and also we appreciate his generosity. So, okay, Chief, I'll leave. The first report is the Rick Adamson Award for Volunteers.
Yeah, this is just to bring you up to speed. At our mutual aid banquet for the County of Wellington, it was held in November, and this is the first year they've had this award. It's the Rick Adamson Award for Volunteerism. Rick was the past president of the Mutual Aid Association, so his family through the Mutual Aid Association got this award together, and this is the first year they award it. So each department nominates someone from their area or their department, and then they award 7 different awards at it. And this year, for the first year, we were pleased to nominate and present the award to Ashley and Paul Vandenhoven, owners of Harrison Motors, Harrison Motors, who help put on Touch a Truck every year, and we work with them to put that event on. And so they were worthy recipients for that volunteerism, because in 2 years they've raised almost $20,000 that's gone back into the department. So we were very, very pleased to take them down to the banquet and present them with the award. And I included a picture of all the people that attended from Minto Fire that were there to be with them to receive that award. So if you see them on the street or you see them anywhere, please congratulate them. The awards hanging in their shoulders. It's well deserved for sure.
Okay, then the recommendation is that the council of the town of Minto receives this report for information purposes. Mover, Jean and Judy, all in favor? Opposed if necessary. I declare the motion carried. Next, carbon monoxide regulations.
Yeah, so this one came into effect October of last year. I've got the report to you a little late, but we're still in phase 3. So it's just to bring you up to speed that the new regulations are in effect, that every household, existing household, has to have a carbon monoxide alarm installed. And they have 6 months to phase that in and to get them installed. Hopefully people will wait 6 months, and hopefully they already have them. So we're working with the money that was raised last year through Touch a Truck has already been designated to design and put together a carbon monoxide program. So we're using that, it was between $10,000 and $12,000 to buy some display materials. We've got numerous carbon monoxide alarms that we're going to be giving away. We have a $5 discount right now at local hardware stores. So you go in there, they will give you a coupon, you get $5 off that we will reimburse the hardware stores for. But the big thing is just to get it out there. One of my roles as the vice president of the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs is prevention. And so I was on this committee with the province to help write the regulations, and very pleased that it went through. Through this whole process, we've gotten to know John Jignac. John Jignac. He's the founding member, president, and person of the Hawkins Ignat Foundation, which wrote this legislation and lobbied it over for years and years and years to get this finally passed. As it says in here, he's the uncle of the OPP officer and family that were killed in Woodstock when they died in carbon monoxide of the house. Just a side note with that, he came up to our touch truck event last year and was extremely pleased with that, thought it was one of the best events he'd ever been to. And we just got notice last month before Christmas that they were donating 100 carbon monoxide alarms. So we've now received them. They're on the skid in the shop, which reminds me to get them out of the way of sorry. And they actually want to come up to, we're trying to get them to a council meeting in February to present them to us and to give them some recognition for the donation that they're giving us, because that's about a $5,000 donation to our municipality to be able to give out. We're working through the touch truck committee to find a way to give them out to the community. So that's news, but there'll be bigger news when they'll be able to come up and present them in person to us and be able to talk to the rest of you as council. So that's pretty exciting. All through that process and all through the carbon monoxide. So carbon monoxide regulations are in effect. Once we get through the phasing period, then there'll be another period where we're going to have to go out and do some, not necessarily enforcement, but some further education and further firmer education, I guess is what we call it, to make sure everybody has them in their houses and that we're checking them in one of people's houses if they have them.
Any questions in respect to carbon monoxide? Okay, yes?
My only question was a comment. I was wondering as a town or even as if we could do any sort of fundraiser or event that would encourage funds to be created to help people purchase carbon monoxide. It's an education thing as well as, you know, I appreciate the $5 from the hardware stores. Maybe if we worked with Home Hardware as a whole, they may consider a larger donation than $5, or if there's something as a community that we could do to both encourage them to get in and help defray some of the costs.
I think that's a great idea, and I'll take that back and throw it at our public education committee and our head of public education, who's much smarter at that kind of stuff than I have putting these campaigns together. So I'll run it by her and see what she says. And yeah, we're open to anything that can get the word out and get more money and more initiatives out there to get these in people's houses. So, yeah, thank you.
Gene?
Are there repercussions for people if they don't have them? If you say it's law, what happens if you have a fire and you're found not to have them, or somebody dies and you're found not to have them?
Yeah, that's a good question. Right now, we can lay, but we can lay what's called Part 1, so you can lay a charge and take it. What they're eventually going to get it to is that it'll be the same as a smoke alarm, as we'll be able to write you a ticket. And right now, if you don't have a smoke alarm, it's $235 ticket to, and then you have to put your smoke alarm in. So they're going to get it to that point. They've got the regulations out through the phasing period, and they're waiting to pass the legislation to change the Provincial Offences Act to include it in there that we will be able to write a ticket to say if you don't have a carbon monoxide alarm, you get a ticket right on the spot. So.
Councillor Elliott?
2 questions. How much are they, and whereabouts you put them in your house?
They range anywhere from $29 to $149. So usually the average that I take is around $50 for one that'll meet most people's needs. The regulations state that you need one in your house outside of the sleeping areas. What we recommend to people is, that's the regulation. Our recommendation through Mental Fire is to say that you should put one on every level of your house. Because if your sleeping areas are upstairs and it's going off upstairs and you're not hearing it, because it's downstairs, you want to be able to hear it wherever you're in the house. So our recommendation is to put one on every level of your house, similar to a smoke alarm. But the actual regulations say you have to have one in your house and it has to be located outside the sleeping area.
Are they battery operated, electrical, or both?
Yes, and yes. You can buy them in battery, you can buy them in electrical, you can buy them electrical with battery backup. The best thing, bang for your buck, in my opinion, and this is solely my opinion, is to have the dual ones. That's a dual smoke alarm and carbon monoxide. Because smoke alarms you have to have on every level of your house, plus outside the sleeping areas. So if you're going to put smoke alarms up, you might as well buy the dual ones and have smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms all in one.
And you can test them.
Absolutely, push one button and they'll test for carbon monoxide, and then
push it twice and push another button for smoke alarm. Yep, thanks.
Any other questions?
What's the most common source of carbon dioxide in a household? What's the biggest culprit?
Usually it's a malfunctioning, it could be a malfunctioning furnace. It's any combustion device, so it could be wood stoves, it could be oil, it could be propane, it could be your hot water heater. We've actually had a call during the power outage that somebody had the generator outside of their carport, but the wind was blowing the right way. That day was 100-mile-an-hour wind, and it blew right in their basement window and filled up their basement with carbon monoxide. We've got people with idle their cars in the garage and it seeps in that way too. So most of the time we see is a malfunctioning furnace or fireplace. I actually, personally, we had carbon monoxide in our house and it was going off. So luckily we had the device. I went to the fire hall, got their gas bar came, and we had 35 parts per million, and it was just our chimney at the top of our gas fireplace was not high enough, and the wind was coming over the peak and driving it back down. Because our house was only 5 years old at the time, so.
So it has to be a gas.
Gas
Wood
fireplace.
fireplace.
No wood, you can still get carbon monoxide from wood too.
Yeah, big time. Perhaps I could give an example, Chief, if you don't mind. An individual I know from Mount Forest had a battery backup system for his sump pump, and the carbon monoxide alarm went off, and they traced it to the backup system on the sump pump, and so he had a whole new system put in, and it just happened again. So it's something that you got to be careful about with almost anything. Okay, any other questions? The recommendation is that council receives the fire chief's report on carbon monoxide regulations for information purposes. Can I have a mover? Councilor Elliott, Councilor Elliott, Councilor Dirksen, and all in favor? Opposed, if any? Declare the motion carried. Okay, finally, the master plan review.
Okay, so the master fire plan, I'll just go through this quickly. You've got it on your, Bill's gonna be banned.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, no, just kidding. He didn't know that yet.
Yours was better than mine.
So, in 2012, we undertook writing the master fire plan, and it was accepted by council. So there's what we're doing. The mission statement, this is our mission statement that came out of the master fire plan committee. Just to review, the master fire plan committee, we did the master fire plan in-house without the use of consultants. And we had a couple people from the community on the committee. We had firefighter speed station. We had Councillor Faulkner was on there. And we wrote it ourselves through the committee, presented it to the members of the department, and then brought it to council for final approval. And it was very, in my opinion, it was a great process and one that I really appreciated going through. And it was definitely a worthwhile process for our department. What also came out of it was our mission statement, and it's up on there, which you probably read. The committee put that together, as well as we tasked the committee with coming up with core values. And there's our 6 core values that Minto Fire values. So I just put them up there for information and review, but we remind our people all the time that that's our mission, and that's the core values for Minto Fire that also ties in with the town's that using that. So the action plan is going back to 2013, and it's just to show you there's still a few things back there, but we've pretty much got everything accomplished from 2013. Host radio training sessions for all department members. We're still working on that. I left it blank, but it's an ongoing one that we just do it to remind them all the time. Right now, we are creating the 5-year public education master plan for public education. They actually have a meeting tonight to finalize year 1, and they're going to start working on year 2 and year 3. So that's a pretty exciting thing. And Khalees is a key part of that, helping guide the public education committee through that 5-year plan on how we're going to educate. And I know year 1 has already been established. It's going to be carbon monoxide. That's going to be our key message for year 1. The rest of it there is established concept with Chamber of Commerce. We've kind of backed off that a bit just because of 2 things. Is we're extremely busy with a lot of the other initiatives that we have to do that we just haven't had time to do this yet. And I know, talking to Belinda, that the Chamber of Commerce is very busy with a lot of their initiatives right now, and with the
big dig or whatever we're gonna call it, go down or whatever is going to happening soon, that, it's just not an initiative we're willing to jump on yet. So we left that one out. So all of those ones that are blank deal with the Chamber of Commerce, which again, we just haven't had time to get to yet. Create an inspection plan outlining inspections for occupancy based on risk assessment. That is done, and with the hiring of the dual positions, we were able to get that well underway, and it is up to a good start. All of these ones are done. The confined space is what the top one's doing. The confined space team has been trained. They had 2 weekends of incredibly hard. They started at 8:30 and we're done at 7:30 for 4 days. They really worked their tails off, and they're actually meeting again tonight too to prepare to go to practices this month to the 3 stations to start training the rest of them on how to tie off knots and ropes and how to help that assist them by tying them off the trees and that as they're getting lowered into the confined space. So this team's up and running. They're not quite in service yet. We're just waiting on a few more equipment deliveries, but a ton of work went into that, and I give them a lot of credit. Replacement plan for helmets, SCV, and extra face shields, that's done, and that guides in the budget process. And we've kind of got all of our equipment planned out over how many years when we need to replace them and how much it's going to cost, ballpark. In progress, and firefighter response software, that's something that we're going to try and get done this year. I've already got the trial done, and that'll be coming up in budget this year to install this firefighter response software, which I can get into more details there. Live fire training, we are still working on that. Live fire training is very difficult because we have to go off-site to do it. So to try to get 85 people off-site to another facility to get live fire training in is very difficult to organize, and it's just taking a lot more time than I anticipated it would. And then discuss with Wellington North automatic gate agreement for the north end of Minto. So that's up at the top end of Minto, the top of 7 Bridges Road at that corner. We want to work with Wellington North to have an automatic gate agreement where they will respond with us so that we can have the closest department to our top end of Minto quicker. They've gone through some administrative changes that has delayed that. They're still working out some issues and getting their administrative person in place. So that's held that up a little bit. So that was 2013. What we accomplished last year was all of the things that you see there. Our Facebook is huge and working very well. We are getting tons of feedback on our Facebook, and it is working really, really well. There's the radio training session we said we were working on continually, and the implement the public education 5-year master plan. They are working on that. They are meeting tonight to keep that momentum going. And then there's the implement the Chamber of Commerce program. I already explained why that's not done. Follow inspection plan base. We're working on that right now. So one of the risk assessments is a tool that came from the fire marshal's office. There was another committee that I sat on that I'm very proud of that we managed to write with the fire marshal's office. We're using that tool to show what our greatest risks are in the community, and then we're working with those risks to try to bring the risk level down. And one of the things that's been legislated upon us, but also we identified as a major risk, is our nursing homes, our care facilities. And we are working with them very well, and Cam has done a tremendous job with them. It's actually run through 3 out of the 5 we have. 3 of them have had fire drills, and have actually passed their drill and got their evacuation demonstrated and completed in the time frame that they're allowed. So now we're just working on a few other things with them, so that's working very well. Maintain records for senior staff. The senior staff are making sure they're doing some courses, and that's in progress, so they're keeping up with that. The 25-year truck plan is being followed, and you'll see that in budget that we're keeping all of that so that our truck plan keeps relevant. Implement and review equipment replacement plans. Again, that's in progress, and you'll see that in budget time where we've written the plan. Now we bring it forward that how much we budget all the time. Continue to implement the smoke alarm program, and as you can see there, we're going to also tie in the carbon monoxide alarm program with our smoke alarm program to use them both together to work with our community to get them in play. Reevaluate training budget to make sure that we're having lots of training dollars there and lots of funds are available to send our people away in training. You'll see next Monday, next Monday is we're having our recruitment night, so it's going to be hosted in Harriston. We've blasted through our social media and that, and we invite people that would like to become Minto firefighters to come out. We put on a presentation, we have display booths set up with all our firefighters to show them what is the equipment that we actually have and we use, what we do. And then they can kind of get an idea of what's all involved before they actually apply. So that there's no surprises when they apply, and then we go through an interview with them and they say, well, I didn't realize you did all that stuff. We give it to them up front to show everybody what's all involved with becoming a Minto firefighter. So that's next Monday at 7 o'clock. We're going to have that. So that's 2014, review and update the master fire plan. This is why. So for 2015, the action plan is as follows. Include the pagers. We have to continue to upgrade the pagers because pagers are a dying thing in the world, but volunteer firefighters still use pagers. So we have to continue to upgrade and buy pagers every year to make sure that we have the primary source of calling firefighters in is upgraded and useful. Promote Facebook. We've done that. The radio programs. We're going to keep working on the master public education plan. We're going to continue with the risk assessment inspections. We're going to investigate options for onboard computer systems, which I know you've been talking about technology and stuff like that the whole municipality is going to look at. This is going to be part of it for us. And then maybe include to purchase onboard computer systems. If you kind of recall last year, we did manage to get a grant that we did buy tablets, and we have 5 tablets sitting there that are able to go on the trucks. It's just a matter of getting the software on them and getting the people trained and getting them on the trucks. So we do have tablets sitting there that can be used for this. It's just a matter of getting software for it. We want to create lesson plans for when public educators go out there and talk to people. We want lesson plans so that the same message is being delivered consistently across the community. Make sure our senior staff are taking courses. We want to budget and purchase the software necessary for the firefighter response system, which again will come up budget time and I'll talk about it then. Continue to implement our smoke alarm and carbon monoxide alarm program. And investigate, this is another budget thing that'll come up, is an investigate the possibility to replace the outdoor public education sign in Palmerston. So Palmerston has the slide letter one that's deteriorating. We want to put an electronic one out front that can be used to have fire safety messages and or community messages at that part of town there. So that is your down and dirty 5-minute update for our master fire plan for this year. So we are just past the halfway point. One of the things that's not in there, but one of the things we will be doing is reviewing the whole plan in general and making sure that it is still relevant. And it might, I haven't figured this out yet, but it might involve getting the committee back together. Or finding some new members of the community just to kind of look at the overall plan and see if we need to adjust it or make sure that it's going to be going past 2017.
That's correct, Chief, because it was established as a working document, so that's why that. Any questions? Mayor,
just in there, you haven't done anything about the water safety thing that we talked about. Are you waiting until next year to do that, or?
The water rescue team, we're exploring doing it this year. That'll come on budget. That was outside the plan. We thought that a confined space team would be over a longer period. That was what the community demanded, obviously, through the surveys we did. But now that through the financial support that we got through numerous businesses and through Touch a Truck, we're able to get the confined space team up and running quicker than I thought. So now we're going to look into exploring, and as you're aware, we've already had information of a RIT craft. It's called. It's a big dinghy, dinghy from Pike Lake to it's sitting there. So we're looking at expanding that and working towards that. So we've already had some.
So it's going to be on budget time. So it's not on this, but it wasn't originally.
It wasn't anticipated that we get that done in 5 years, but now we have it. And the Touch a Truck committee is actually looking at putting all the funds this year towards water rescue if we so deem, but we had to wait till budget time to see.
Any other questions? Councilor Dirksen?
Yeah, Chris, you said, you made comment about the pager system. That's great.
Yeah.
But is that the best way for getting hold of it? Is there a better technology, or is that the one?
Right now, that's the only one. Through the the county owns our paging system. Our paging system is about 30 or 40 years old. So one of my other goals is I'm the president of the County Chiefs Association, and we're trying to get a report together to send to the county to look at having the county budget some money to help upgrade the paging system. And one of our first steps is to hire a consultant, because I had no absolutely nothing about paging. Do we go digital, do we stay with what we got, or whatever. So that's one of our goals this year's Chiefs Association, is to lobby the county to put some money to a consultant to come and say, this is the way you should go to improve your system. Because we know it's getting old and it's on its last legs. But preliminary estimates are pretty high on how to upgrade that. So that's one of our goals. But right now, the only option we have is the pagers. And the issue with them is, like, Motorola is one of the main manufacturers of it. They don't put any research and development in, because the only people that use pagers anymore are volunteer firefighters. So they make them, they break, they throw them in the corner, and they give you another one. They don't do cell phones and stuff like that as their bread and butter. Volunteer pagers, they just make them because they have to, because we still need them.
Yeah, Councillor Elliott and then Councillor Turk.
One of the, I guess one of the, it's not a problem, one of the things that we're doing in Ocean is to deal with double ladder situation. And there's several communities involved in that, and it's quite a concern. And one of them being Minto, and I'm sure you heard about it. Do we have any concerns at all? There's professional firefighters also being volunteers for our group, and asked to.
It is a small concern of ours. Putting on my vice president half of the OAFC, our official position on that is we think, as the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs, that it's the right of everybody in Ontario to volunteer for a fire department. We don't use the term double hatters. We're trying to get away from that, because that's the union's term. We believe whether you're in the teachers union, you're in the QP union, you're in the firefighters union, everybody has the right to volunteer as a firefighter, no matter who you are. So that's our stance. We're not trying to pick on the firefighters union. So we agree with what you're saying, and we think that it is definitely an issue, and it should be resolved at provincial level. But we want to take it higher than to say it doesn't matter who you are, what union you belong to. Everybody should have the right to serve their community as a volunteer firefighter.
There's another community who want to serve the community, and that's part of the need. We want you as an original volunteer would understand that, and
that's right.
And yes, it's unfortunate it's come forward. So there's no stress.
For us, it doesn't. There's only a couple of individuals that are affected by it, and they're not being pushed or harassed. So it's okay right now, but we would stand to lose a couple of key people if they ever did come forward with it. But we are pushing through the OAFC to try and say, you know what, it's not a firefighter union thing. Just everybody should have the right, and please, as the government, please let everybody have the right to pick if you want to be a volunteer firefighter or not.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Turk.
Thank you, Chair Faulkner. The confined space program, you got it set up in one town, or do you have the ability to do it? You have the equipment for all three centers?
The equipment is stored in one location. The trailer that we purchased last year, I believe, is going to be confined space rescue unit. And right now it's stationed out of Palmerston, but there's people trained at all three stations that are able to respond. So what we have is 10 what they're called technicians that will be able to go into the hole and do that kind of stuff. And they're going to train everybody at the other stations on how to be in the support role. They'll be at the operations level, I guess is what we call it. But the way it's set up is, if it happened in, say, Clifford, they would respond and get the setup started and kind of get the area ready, prepped, ready to go. And at the same time that they're dispatched, the trailer attached to either the pickup or the rescue unit would be dispatched as well to arrive with all the equipment. Because not only with that equipment, we have the gator, that's the rescue gator there with the rescue rocket and all that kind of stuff that we might need at a call that who knows where it is or access is available and all that stuff. So we're putting it together. Right there is where it's going to be stored, and then it's going to be set up that there's going to be multiple stations dispatched to get the right people there with the right equipment.
The second question then is recruitment. Do we have a problem? Nothing.
No, no, we don't have a problem. We just had some, we have
Retirees.
retirees, yeah, like what you saw, at the Christmas party, we just awarded two 40-year and a bunch of 35-year long service awards, so retention is, we're very lucky that way. We've just had some long 30-some year veteran members retire, so it's just, we're boosting them up to fill their positions, so, years ago, the council today was lucky, you were on the fire committee then, Councilor Fritton, that we have auxiliaries in there, so we have 5 auxiliaries in each station that when somebody retires in the department, the auxiliary steps in. And so we always at full complement, we always have the 25 firefighters. So we're just refilling our auxiliary positions to get them trained that they're ready to step up for future retirements. But no, it's not a problem for that. And recruitment wise, we just did it 2 years ago this way, and we find that it gives everybody in the community an opportunity to deliver recruiting, and if they want to come out with the resume in, then it's great. And honestly, for one station alone, I think we're up to about 10 resumes already, right? Just one station. So
Nice.
I like to think that's the word's getting out there, and people are really wanting to join the organization. So.
Good work.
Good. Okay. Recommendation is that the council of the town of Mnto receives the fire chief's master fire plan update report and presentation as information. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Anderson and Mayor Bridge. All those in favor? Opposed? I declare the motion carried. And just before you leave, Chief, I think it's paramount that this council acknowledges the passing of former Chief Don Wallace, and who dedicated quite a number of years to the Harrison Fire Department. I guess it still was when amalgamation occurred, and also that his son Perry is also a member of the Minto Fire Department. So please acknowledge from council our appreciation to his service, and also our sympathies to the family.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yep, I will pass it on. We are helping the family with the visitation and the funeral. So
Thank you.
I will pass it on.
Great. Chief, turn the chair back over to Mayor Bridge.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Paul Chair. I'll turn it over to Councilor Caldwell to chair.
Okay. The Finance Committee, just before we start the Finance Committee, I just want to remind Council that next Tuesday, the 13th, is our first budget meeting at 1:30. And we're having a pre-meeting tomorrow, but I'm sure that this group has worked hard and is going to give a great presentation that we can all understand on the budget. And I encourage all of the council to take the time and the effort to go through it thoroughly and be prepared for the meeting next Tuesday. And with that, I'll turn it over to Gord. We have 3 items on the agenda today, and the first one he's going to talk about is the approval of accounts for December 22nd.
Thank you, Chair Caldwell. Towards the end of the year, all the work that has been talked about is the FICA basically. So a lot of our expenses are a capital nature right now. And then we have a denser payment of $31,000. In economic development, the major thing was paving Harry Stone's parking lot, which is being used heavily, and this is before any of the construction. We got pickup truck purchase, about $43,000 in public works. George Street, payment on that one of $159,000. In Palmerston, Wellington Street, $142,000. Clifford, Queen Street, $87,000. And on 1620, grids, it's all open and anyone driven over it. I'm sure everybody has right now. Let's improve. $125,000.
When are we having the big opening?
Hey, yeah.
Thanks, good.
In Toronto, we've got the street lights on Toronto Street, which have been constructed before. So they're pretty much up and running for $25,000. Sewers, again in Palmerston, with the low and water, $50,000 there. And in the famous Harrison Industrial Park, $169,000 for the forest main. So, she's very active there. We've also been putting some water in, again, low water, 50,000, and George did another thing with 15,000. So, that accounts for a lot of the, must have like 3 million in expenses for this sector.
Okay, does anyone have any questions of the treasurer? Yes,
Just,
Mr. Bree?
as far as budget goes, then board, are we getting close to getting the numbers? I know years ago, we were always chasing at the end of the year and trying to get contractors to get us the.
Yeah, we'll still have some more payments now. Like, for example, the water meter project, it's got very small, so it's like, yeah, it's not.
Okay.
The
road work.
Yeah, I think the later ones will be that first one.
But you got a pretty good handle of where you are as far as year end.
Well, I don't know if I go that far.
Well, I know I don't want to pin you down, because if we pin you down, then you.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I mean, there'll still be some other regular payments.
I just wonder, are we gonna be in the surplus or not?
It will be 0.
Okay. It's always, give me that on. That's how you do know. That's how he does it. Yeah, the day is 0. Okay, all right. Okay, I get budget.
Are there any other questions? No? Then the recommendation is that council receives the treasurer's report dated December 22nd, 2014, regarding approval of accounts and approves the town of Minto accounts by department for December 2014. May I someone make that motion, please? Deputy Mayor Faulkner, and seconded by Councillor Burton. All in favor? Any opposed? The motion is passed. So our second item on the agenda is the temporary borrowing bylaw, which we do annually, and I'll have treasurer explain it to you.
Exactly. So this is something that we have to do annually, more to please our banker and that.
Yeah.
And this basically gives us overdraft protection. For operating expenses, this isn't for long-term capital projects that which managing cash flow is another challenge and continues to be. But we need to pass this bylaw and
Are there any questions? I just want to, have we ever utilized this bylaw?
no, we haven't. But I won't promise.
Can't promise anything.
Is there any other questions? Then the recommendation is the council of the town of Minto receives the treasurer and tax collector's report dated December 19th, 2014, and considers passing bylaw 2016-02 in regular council session. And Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Dirksen, all in favor? Any opposed? Passed. And our final item is the interim tax bylaw.
Right, so this is when they avoid using it. Collect their taxes. So again, we have to do 2 tax bylaws per year, so one in the interim, and that's based basically on 50% of the previous billing. It gets unusual for, like, say, new construction, too, where maybe all the letters building lot is very small in the first part, larger in the second. So, but all things being equal, it's roughly half year, for 2014. And this is something that's required in this one.
Are there any questions? Yes, Mayor Briggs.
Just on that, Gord, if somebody knows that they're building a new commercial unit or whatever, can they pay ahead of time? Like, it's important that they look at it, not just pay 50% because they don't want to get into a hole.
That's right.
So do you give them a sort of a guesstimation based on other ones, or do you just?
We can try if they call in, and
yeah,
we're happy to take it or put money aside themselves,
right,
or whatever, but just realize it. Until the $300,000 house and $500,000
yeah,
bill, that's not going to be.
No, I think that's important that we let people know that, because there's a tendency to think, oh, we're not worried about it, and then at the end of the day, there's problems, right?
And it's right for the person, because sometimes it can be 2 or 3 years.
You know.
On that, has things improved with our impact timing?
Oh, I mean, maybe marginal, but like, Terry brings these reports on great progress in building it, and then you go to the thing and Minto has like 0.6% growth or something, will be the slowest, and it's like, no, we're going faster than that. So it's maybe a bit better, but it's by no means solved. And I know Terry's good at
And as a council, there's nothing we can do.
Well, I'll just give you, and I'm looking over at Dave, because he was at county council budget meeting today, and there was a lot of talk about impact, as there always is. It's amazing, it's a system that just totally floors me, in the fact that we pay for their services and we get bad service. And they keep upping our dollars we have to pay, so I'll figure that deal out, I never figured it out yet. But there's no other recourse, but one of the things, now we have a person in the county for us that actually, basically that's what she does. Most of her job is to go after these tax situations so that we know we're running into the second and third year. So there is somebody that the county does pay to do that. Monitor impact to the point so that we can make sure we get all our taxes, because if we don't get our taxes, the county doesn't get the taxes either, right? So that, she's basically an expert in that.
Yeah.
And
she's a former impact person.
yes, so she knows the system. So, and again, today they talked about, I think we asked Ken that question. I believe Dave, and he sort of said the same as you, like it's sort of maybe a bit better, but not really good yet. So we just have to keep watching them all the
How
time.
many years do we have before we lose taxes?
After 2.
After 2?
The third year, if it goes to 3, you're not going to get the 1 year.
And that is the issue.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do things, the county does it, the school board.
Well, this last run, and what they usually do, to give you an idea, they usually do commercial industrial at the end of the current year. They probably do residential a couple times, but they do industrial commercial usually once a year, and it's usually near the end. So, like, it affected our budget this time around at the county level because it was a 1.5%. We were actually underestimating what we were getting. But that shouldn't be the case, right? It should be, we should get those online as quick as possible. Because when we've seen great growth in the last few years here, but we haven't seen it at the tax base yet. That's the frustration when it's 2 years coming to you. So we've had good growth over the last 2 or 3 years, but a lot of that's not hit the books yet.
And that's it, it's like, our fire department has their
Yeah.
plan, well, MTAC does that too, and I believe in the last one, the goal is 18 months.
Yeah.
And they know they're not there yet.
No, and 18 months is pretty scary when you figure after 2 years you're gonna lose. So we constantly are on them. So I think from a county level, and helps us as well to have those, but Gord's on top of it too.
Plus the taxpayer themselves, when they're getting a bill.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
3 years retroactive, that, is it quite cash?
We all know what it's like. It's easy to say, I'll put the money away, but we never think about that. And at the end of the day, they get this big tax bill, and who gets yelled at? We do.
Yeah.
Because we're able to get a hold of us. Right?
And it's tough for the person, because they're putting aside money for a bill that they have cost them, I
Yeah.
don't know until that's.
Exactly. So that's why it's important, I think, to get it out there, the message out there. If you have a new building, you're doing whatever, understand you're probably not going to get assessed on it for a year or 2. Ask the town will give you a fair estimation of what it could cost. And then we can start putting it away like you would normally do, right? Budget the way it should be done.
Is there any additional questions? Then the recommendation is the council of the town of Minto receive the December 30th, 2014 report from the treasurer and tax collector regarding the interim tax bylaw and consider passing bylaw 2015-01 in open session. Can someone make that, please? Councillor Anderson, Councillor Ferguson. All in favor? Any opposed? And it's passed. And I turn the chair back to Mayor Bridge. Thank you.
I'll turn it over to Councillor Church.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. Today we have one item on the Public Works agenda. It has to do with County Roads 2 and 3 and the maintenance contract. And I'll ask our Public Works Director to give us a report.
Well, this will be a breath of fresh air for Mayor Bridge. Last winter, as you know, it was extremely bad for snow and ice, and the county paid us $1,500 per kilometer. This year, they're proposing to raise that $600 per kilometer, which is nice. To compensate also from last year, The county is offered to pay 30% of last year's rate, which is an additional $25,200. So, of course, I recommend that we do it.
And this is a good news story. Bill would have liked to have this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions? This is pretty straightforward stuff.
Yeah, it happens every year.
It does.
Any questions?
Yes, go
Through
ahead.
you, Councilor Turner, just to refresh my memory, Wellington Road 2 and 3.
Yes.
Is that the Normandy Town Line? That county road?
No, County Road 3 runs off of County Road 2, heading towards Normandy Town.
Right,
Yeah,
okay,
and then we
we're in the
turn
same
around
area.
and back,
Yeah.
Drew.
Drew.
Downtown.
The Drew.
Lower, and it covers lower and upper Drew, does it not?
Well, no.
No, it doesn't do all the way, that's what it only cuts over.
Stops to both.
Yeah.
Gord, can you, show us on the map there, please?
I can do
When you get up
I'm 89 to go home and
Yeah.
No, I was aware. I just wanted to verify that that's what it was.
Councilor,
Yes, couple things. It should be cheaper this year for you to be able to maintain those roads because gas is way down, right? So
Yeah.
we actually should be able to do it cheaper and we've got more money, so that's a good thing.
That's a bonus, that's why I said.
So-
that's snow so far.
Is there any way, are we budgeting anything with the treasurer and yourself? Are we budgeting anything for this?
Him and I don't talk.
I understand. Are we budgeting, assuming that we're going to save a lot, pile of money, we should save thousands of dollars, that's true.
With the weather, I never assumed that,
Okay,
but you can almost say it.
do we have,
It'll be a saving.
do we have tanks that we can put fuel in now? Seriously, are we,
Holding tanks?
yeah, well, our own, a lot of.
We have two locations that have fuel storage.
Yeah,
Yes.
so maybe a good idea to fill it up with those.
Constantly.
Okay.
Yeah, and this low gas, they're not predicting it's gonna go away quickly.
No, but it's still,
A year at least.
it should be a lot of money, savings.
Better save the money if the repercussions down the road.
Yeah,
other questions? Yes.
well, I think Gene hit the nail on the head there. I mean, the thing is with winter maintenance and whatnot, I'm a firm believer that we probably, 2 or 3 years ago, we had an easy year. And we were smart enough to put that money away. Now we've lost it all, so it's gone because we have 2 bad years. So I think you leave the budget the way it is, and at the end of the day, you find out what surplus you might have at the end, and build up that reserve again. I think they're going to do that at the county level again. Their reserve is totally blown. They had a big reserve, totally blown. So
Everybody was in the same.
so I think we wait and see. I wouldn't want to start adjusting for gas cost yet, Ron, only in the sense that at the end of the year, yeah, we'll see what happens, and then maybe we have to build that reserve up again. I'm touch wood, I'm hoping to have an easier year this year, and we'll be able to get it back up, because global warming's not happening.
Got a nice one.
And windmills are money.
Okay.
Good news for you.
Yeah.
So the recommendation here then is the council receives the Public Works Director's report dated November 4th, 2014 regarding the winter maintenance contract for County Roads 2 and 3. And the council accepts the compensation of $6,400 per kilometer for the 2014-15 winter season from the town of Wellington. So we have a mover Faulkner and Councilor Bergson. All in favor of this motion? Against? That's carried. Thank you very much. So just before you go, Brian, it's great to see all these capital projects and the invoices coming in. It's one thing to set the money aside to do the capital projects, it's the next thing to do them. So, yeah.
Busy year.
Yeah. So if you've got a moment, I was at the downtown Revite for Harrison last night. And there's a rumor on the street, and it's a pretty serious rumor, it's not a rumor, that the big dig in the downtown core of Harrison this year, 2015, there's an opportunity for us to start earlier in May.
Probably within the first meeting.
So the original plan was after May 24th. So I think the merchants of the downtown Harrison want to push to get it started early in May, and if that's possible, I was instructed to bring that forward. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
We discussed that this morning, and we have to do two things, I guess maybe three. One, the county has to hold a public meeting. Two, the contractor, sorry, the consulting engineer, which is Triton, have to be able to get their documents ready, and I think they told us they can.
Yeah.
And the last thing is that, we'll do the-
Yeah.
Public meeting.
Public meeting.
Public meeting on that in March.
So they're basically asking if it's possible, but they would prefer that we got started earlier than later.
And so because it's a county project, and we'll get the county, now the county hopefully will have the budget passed, well, they will have the budget passed at the end of January, and it'll go through, so the money will be there, and they'll be going up to contract as soon as possible. So we have to dial the county in on it, but I wouldn't think they have a problem if they get it. Yeah,
We have a say down there, right?
might have. We have two of us.
We also have a grant.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a grant cost.
Our project.
Yeah.
Cost sharing.
Cost sharing, yeah. So, anyway, so yeah, I think that whole process continues to grow, and that's why, David, it's great that you were there last week. That we want to keep that downtown revitalization when it's not here, but that's why I put councillors on those committees, because I think they're very important. And feel free to bring it back to us when you get anything from those.
I think the communication from the downtown people and this committee, the meeting that we already had, we're listening in the downtown core, and our merchants throughout the whole town are extremely important to us, and we need to listen to them. Yeah, for sure. So I'll pass the chair back to her here.
All right, additional items. And I have, if people want additional items, and that would be Ron and Judy and this is going to get one of those. Okay, I'll start with Judy. You want to start?
Sure. Free opportunities to volunteer in the town, Minto. Volunteers are needed at Northampton Healthcare, both in Palmerston District Hospital, as well as Louise Marshall Hospital in Mount Forest, which I know isn't in Minto, but we're trying to get the help. To assist with the Hospital Elder Life Program. You may have seen that as the acronym HELP, H-E-L-P. Volunteers would be providing services to hospitalized seniors, assisting with meals, mobilization, stimulation, and orientation. And anyone interested can contact the Elder Life Specialist, and that's at Louise Marshall Hospital, 509-323-2210. The extension is 2325. And in Palmerston at the Blessings Thrift and Gift Store, it's located on Norman Street, and it's seeking men, women, and youth to volunteer for 4 hours 2 times a month. Day and evening times are available. If interested people can call 343-2046. You may be aware that the Main Street location is closing on January 31st, but the Norman Street location is going to remain open if they can recruit sufficient volunteers. There is an inventory reduction sale at the Main Street location until January 17th during their regular hours. It's 50% off. And Blessing Store, as I'm sure you all know, provides a valuable service to many of our community and beyond. And thirdly, help is needed on Friday nights from 7 to 9 at the YFC Drop-In Center in Harrison. And if anyone's interested in that opportunity, they can call 492-2447.
Thank you, Jane. Those are all good operations. Oh, you didn't have one.
Yeah.
What's the other Ron? Oh, the other Ron, and then Mary Lou, right?
Okay, first of all, I'm also going to talk about volunteers. The
IPM 2016 is now in high gear. We're having our first executive meeting this Friday of IPM 2016, and we've had, we're getting to the point now where we're going to have to start getting more volunteers to serve on the committee. So we currently have about 250. To put the match on, the majority of volunteers will have to be recruited for 2016 because it takes about 1,250 in total to put the match on. And so anyways, we do have forms. Annalene has forms, and I have forms, and that will be. We hope to have a spot at OSUM in the back of their store for the spring of 2016. So we'll have lots of forms there with telephone. Thank you.
And I just want everyone to put on their calendar, February 2nd is the Chamber of Commerce Annual General Meeting. I believe it's in Clifford at the next meeting. I'll verify that. And, it's a big night for me because after 13 years, I'm going to get a new treasurer.
Oh, you think you are?
No, we are.
I don't know. I would think, oh, you have actually got somebody, a real
live body.
Oh, okay, good for you. It's only taking you 13 years to train somebody. Speaking of AGMs, the Harrison Cultural Society has theirs on Saturday, and it's at, where is it? Thinking.
So the 10th?
The Legion, I'm thinking. I'll have to check on that. Hang on, don't mind me looking at my BlackBerry, because it's right here. It's my date book. No, agriculture. Vern sent me a note on it.
Oh, wait.
I'm going to be out of town, but anybody wants to go, they would certainly love to have anybody drop in. And
that's the time.
I'm pretty positive. Here it is. It is at January the 10th at 8 o'clock at Harrison United Church. Good thing I didn't say it. Harrison United Church. Okay. So if anybody wants to go, please drop down and say hello. All right. And that's about all I have. Go ahead, Monsieur.
Mayor Bridge, bylaws tonight you have.
Yes.
Bylaw 2015-03. That is a replacement bylaw for bylaw 2014-069, which was a bylaw to stop up and close the part of John Street in Clifford. This has been presented to you again at the request of the purchaser's lawyer. And so we're just asking that you reconsider that bylaw. As to it needing to be passed, I won't get into that. If you're wondering what that is, that's to facilitate the Clifford ball diamond sale.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I want to go into it. Can we just go ahead and do it?
Well, rather than arguing it back and forth, when speaking to the purchaser today, they're just grateful that we'll pass it.
Yeah.
Okay, we move on.
Anybody understand that? Okay, maybe the two new people might not because they're not involved in it. Sometimes, I guess I'll put it this way, Judy and Gene, sometimes lawyers have a tendency to fight each other on points of law. We don't think we need to pass this bylaw, possibly, but to make things run smoother and just finish it up, it makes sense just go ahead and do it. And go have a fight over nothing.
No harm in doing it.
And there's no harm in doing it, it's just that we probably shouldn't have been needed to do it, but we want to get the thing done. Is that, am I right on that?
We made a motion to do it.
Yeah, we made a motion to do it, exactly. So anyways, but he wants it done before he'll finish the deal. Yeah. Sometimes that you get in the middle of a fight with lawyers, you'll never win. Not our lawyers. Other than, just the one other thing, I maybe mentioned that we did have the budget meeting for the county. As I said, it's going fairly smoothly, so I'm looking forward to our budget meeting going smooth. And anyways, no, I think the staff have done a pretty good job, and we're gonna probably have a good look at it on the 13th. But by all means, everybody, look at it. If you got any questions on the budget, by all means, talk to people involved.
We'll be getting a copy of that.
Yes, yeah, I think it comes out on
Budget binder will be delivered Friday.
Friday, okay, and then you'll have time to look at it. And if there's questions, feel free, I would say phone, Bill or Gord. How would you like to do it, through you, Bill, or through Gord if it's a finance thing? Or
I want the real detail.
go to Gord and, yeah.
Monday.
Or if you have any questions, call me on it too, I have no problem talking about it.
Or if you
Mary.
bring them to the meeting on Tuesday.
Yeah,
right? So we can, because a lot of times when people have questions, a lot of the other counselors pick up no questions.
Yeah, and I'm just saying that it's nice if you just want clarifications, get them done early, then you don't have, the budget meeting goes, that's not that we don't want to talk about it, but the actual clarifications of things could make it easier at the budget meeting. That seemed to be what happened today. Anyways, okay. Other than that, we're going to move on. Moved by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, second by Councilor Anderson, that the committee of full convenes the regular council. All in favor? Moved by Councilor Caldwell, second by Councilor Turton, that the Council of Town Meeting ratifies motion made in the committee of the whole. All in favor? Moved by Councilor Turton, second by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, that bylaw number 2015-01 to authorize the 2015 interim tax rate be introduced and read the first, second, and third time and passed over the council and sealed with the seal of the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councilor Anderson, second by Councilor Elliott, the bylaw number 2015-02 authorizing temporary borrowing to meet the current expenditures be introduced and read the first, second, and third time and passed over the council and sealed with the seal of the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councilor Turton, second by Councilor Dirksen, that bylaw number 2015-03 to authorize stopping up and closing part of the on-open John Street East Road allowance in Clifford between Brown Street, William Street, former Village of Clifford, parts 3, 4, 5, and 6. Plan 61R 2049 9 Town of Minto be introduced and read first, second, and third time, passed over the council and sealed with the seal of the corporation. All in favor? That was a long one.
I was gonna ask you to repeat it.
Yeah, I'm running. If you notice, I got a bit of a cold. I'm running out of my voice. I'm like, I made it to the end. I just wondered like,
We're kind of working together and setting up.
yeah. Moved by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, second by Councilor Caldwell, the bylaw number 2015-04 to confirm the proceedings of the January 6, 2015 committee council meeting be introduced, read first, second, third time, passed over the council and sealed with the seal of the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Council Anderson, second by Council Elliott. The council of the town of Minto adjourned the meeting again. Call Mayor. All in favor? Thank you for a good meeting, everybody. Well.